Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Tonight, it's Wednesday night. That means it's WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series action as the regular season is chipping away. Tonight, it's the penultimate race of the regular season. Just one more after tonight is at Charlotte to figure out the 16 drivers that will be running for a championship. After coming off of last week, going left and right at Sonoma, let's now tackle the Monster Mile as we get ourselves prepared for Dover International Speedway as the drivers are set for 150 laps. Currently, it is qualifying as Joshua Kanata is topping the board in the 16 machine. He was the fastest during practice and trying to keep that speed up for himself this evening. And again, welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer, and with me tonight is going to be Joshua Altus. Josh, certainly last week, Sonoma, it was all Benjamin Nelson getting things done in victory lane, grabbing his third win this season. But Miles the Monster seems to be hungry because Dover is set and ready.
Yeah, Sam, great to be with you tonight. I'm really looking forward to this race at Dover. The Monster Mile, man, we always talk about it. This place is fast. It's almost like a Bristol on steroids. We had a very different race last week at Sonoma that you just alluded to. Had a nice little battle between Zach Hall and Benjamin Nelson, but Benjamin was able to get that third win, but we're on to a whole different beast this week here at Dover.
The concrete is set and ready as drivers are now spilling on top of the board as Joshua Kanata had it initially, but Larry Yingling has now stolen the lead. Chris Stitz has taken the pole position, and Douglas Newbigging crashing before he could get to the line for the 7 machine. And that was going to be his first lap, trying to set up for the speed on his second. Not going to be happening here this evening, but there are some surprise runners tonight. Ryan Kelly, the 3 machine who we thought and were informed that he might be not coming back this season, is back, and that could be shaking up the points because with his win, currently in the point standings, you have to be inside of the top 25 for your win to count. Well, the 3 is in 29th position. He's got a lot of game time. He's only got a couple laps in time to gain all those points back, but right now he is top of the board. The 3 trying to show that he's still in the fight for a championship.
Yeah, Sam, that's going to throw a whole nother layer in this this race to the end of the regular season here. We got Dover and then Charlotte next week is going to be the last race of the regular season. We got a couple guys still battling right at that bubble position, but yeah, with the return of Ryan Kelly, that's going to just add a whole other layer because if he can get himself into the top 25, he's going to steal one of those playoff spots from some of the bubble guys. So a lot of interesting battles to keep an eye on tonight for sure.
Certainly a lot of battles to watch out for. We've had seven different winners in the past 9 races. Douglas Newbigging trying to be one of those drivers that can get up front for a win as he's trying to recover, and it looks like his laps will not count for the 7. Let's start at the end of the line. It's been a rough couple of weeks for Douglas. He's hoping to find a swing around as qualifying is coming to a conclusion here in the next 45 seconds. Last driver that could really put down the time was looking to be Christopher Norris as Larry Yingling is 4th on the board, but just getting some practice time in for the 67. As this track going to be difficult and the hard part's going to be pit road, and that's why the 67 was practicing that attempt with 30 seconds left in qualifying.
Yeah, I look for Larry Yingling to be really strong tonight, Sam. He was up front at Bristol. We talked about several times about how the pit strategy got flipped on him at Bristol, and Bristol another concrete track. So, you know, I like to kind of keep an eye on the guys who were strong. Of course, John Forbes won that race, so, you know, John Forbes looks like he's 7th on the leaderboard right now, so be fun and interesting to keep an eye on some of the guys that were strong on the concrete track at Bristol and see if it translates over to Dover tonight.
Excited to see how the racing is going to attribute to where drivers line up. This is the second to last race of the regular season before the playoffs begin. We have Charlotte next week, which will be the last race of the regular season. But practice is over, qualifying is done, and the drivers are gritting up. It's time for us to take a look at where the drivers were starting out in tonight's race at Dover. As for 150 laps, we do have a competition caution at the end of lap 45, but it's Ryan Kelly grabbing his 2nd pole of the season. Last time he got a pole, he got into victory lane, and that was at Atlanta, all the way back at the end of July. The last time Ryan Kelly was on track for the WSSR, Can the 3 come back after a month break and find himself in a victory lane? Well, to watch out. Mason Cassidy, a surprise run for the 4, looking good. In second, Chris Stitz, needing a massive night for the 17 if he wants to make the surprise push into the playoffs. Starting in third, Larry Yingling still searching for that first win in fourth. Our points leader, Shane Tarian, in fifth. Joshua Kanata in sixth. John Forbes just outside of the pointing his way into our playoffs with his win. He's 17th in points. He's locked in eighth. Then ninth is Nick Crawford. It's Isaiah Sutherland finishing out our top 10.
And starting just outside the top 10 will be Brandon Colley starting 11th. And then a couple guys, Sam, who is battling for the points right now. Ollie Fonseca will start 12th, and James Heater will start 13th. Zach Hall will start 14th. Aaron Kralik will start 15th tonight. Nolan Hitz will start 16th. Cedric Hunter will start 17th. Brad Delph will start 18th. Brian Noel will start 19th. And Christopher Wade will round out our top 20.
21st position will be Thomas Walter in the 57 machine. Brian P. Johnson in 22nd position, a driver that won here all the way back in season 2. Hopefully get his second win at Dover as he's got a long road to get up front. Brian with an I. Johnson going to be in 23rd with Jonathan Coxwell 24th. Kyle Rochelle 25th. 26th position is Noah Steele. Douglas Newbegin all the way back in 27th. And in 28th is Danny Cochran. Christopher Norris, who had a shocking victory last night in the Full Send Racing Series, going to be starting in 29th position. In 30th will be James Kaufman, as those final 4 drivers not able to get a qualifying time in. The drivers roll off with Ryan Kelly up front, but been talking to the drivers for this first stage. Don't have to worry. Well, this first Tiller competition caution at lap 45 doesn't look like these drivers have to worry about fuel. Tires, though, could be the main thing to watch out for. They've got 5 extra sets in pit road to work with, given the fuel run around 40, about of 65 laps. For these first 45, going to be some major knowledge to take in for these front runners. Well, welcome to the show. Hopefully you're ready for the action. It's the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Season 7 has been a good one so far, but what will race 10 give us at Dover? It's time to find out as the pace car pulls into pit road. Ryan Kelly, who's been missing for a month, what does the 3 machine have for tonight's race? Let's find out as they exit out of turn number 4. A little bit of a jam in the middle of the field, but the driver's into the restart zone, and we're green at Dover as the inside lane got the takeoff they wanted. Everyone else stalling out as we roar down into turn number 1.
Green flag in the air, and Ryan Kelly's going to get the jump. He's got the 17 of Kurt Stitch right on his back bumper as they come down the back stretch heading into turn 3.
Already going to be single filed out for our top 7. Now make that our top 10. It's Ollie Fonseca stuck on the outside lane where it looks to be really trapped to find any inkling of speed up there. Now every driver searching for the bottom where they're feeling the most comfortable, and Ryan Kelly leads lap number 1. Well, where he left us is where he comes back to. Up front leading the way, Josh, and this is an incredible run for the 3, who again needs massive points if he's going to make it inside of our top 25 and get himself that win that he already got at Atlanta to count to place him in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what Ryan Kelly needs to do right now. I mean, he got the pole position, he's got the trap position, clean air, and just taking care of those tires, sailing away right now.
As drivers trying to surge quickly to move up front, as our leaders are starting to gap away from the rest of the field. Currently, our biggest movers in our first 3 laps of this race going to be all the way back in the middle of the field, 77 of Brian Noel, up 3 positions. As our points leader, Shane Tarian, 5th place, just watching where to go. Larry Yingling's been looking fast with the 9, not wanting to just be a follower. He'll duck down low, forcing the 67 high, but not enough speed yet for Shane Tarian to make that pass.
Yeah, Shane Tarian has by far been the most consistent driver this season, Sam. I mean, I don't know exactly how many top 10s he's cranked out, but it seems like every single week we're talking about him being up inside the top 10 and just being toward the front. So that's a huge reason as to why he's our points leader right now. With only 2 races to go until the end of the regular season, he's looking poised to be potentially our regular season champion.
It's looking very solid that he's going to be a regular season champion. The driver that is trying to pass him for that run is Larry Yingling, who's now been passed by Mason Cassidy before. Going to fall back to 4th place as looking at where drivers are at. Shane Tarian has the total of 7 top 10 runs. Cole Sketty is tied with him with 7, but we were informed the other day Cole Sketty not going to be running in these next couple of weeks. He's got some other issues, personal issues that are making him, forcing him to back off from iRacing for a bit. We hope for the best for Cole Scotty and for him to be back out on track as soon as possible. But our top 5 running well, but Ryan Kelly not looking like he really wants to push his machine. Just settling in, same for Chris Stitz. They were very aggressive in those first 2 laps, but the top 5 are closing in quickly. Joshua Kanata, fastest during practice. He's got John Forbes right behind him, and as well, Ross Tatum. Ross has been finding a lot more consistency with his qualifying runs being better recently, Josh, and with better qualifying, we seem to be seeing a better Ross.
Yeah, for sure. I think Ross's kind of game plan has changed, especially since he got that win, a couple weeks ago at North Wilkesboro it was. So, yeah, we saw at the beginning of the season, it seemed like Ross would not qualify and just kind of, take his time trying to pick way through the field, try to practice, making some passes and moving through the field. And since he got that win, I think he's got the confidence now to qualify and to run up front, and it's showing tonight.
He certainly is. Another driver we have to keep on note, Ollie Fonseca, one of the drivers that have a ton of confidence coming in tonight. Says that Dover's one of his favorite tracks to run at, and felt like he could get a top 10, maybe even a top 5 finish at the end of the day. And that's exactly what the 24 needs. Cummins into tonight, 16th in points. But because of Ross Tatum being 17th in points and with a win, it would actually push out this 24 from making the playoffs. Ultimate goal for Ollie is to run better than Nick Crawford and as well James Heater. Those are the 2 drivers that Ollie needs to be in front of to make sure that he solidifies that he's in the playoffs and doesn't have to worry about Ross Tatum's win that could potentially push him out, nor would he have to worry about Ryan Kelly if Kelly somehow gets enough points to put himself into a position for his win to count.
Yeah, it's a tough position to kind of be where Ollie's at, and I can speak to this with experience because I'm right on the bubble line with a couple of the leads right now that I run, and you kind of go back and forth of you want to pay attention to where the guys are at that you're racing, but at the end of the day, I think the best mindset is to have is just to go out.
Trouble! Entry turn 3, and it's going to be Isaiah Sutherland, Brandon Colley, and others scattering, and luckily the rest of the field able to slow down. But a massive collision of 3 drivers, being Brandon Colley and a couple of others on the entry of turn 3.
A massive collision for a couple of drivers there, Sam. I'm not sure what happened. I'm sure we'll pull up the replay right here. But, yeah, Isaiah Sutherland, Brandon Colley. Looks like Cedric Hunter maybe got a little piece of that.
It looks to be Ollie Fonseca getting into the outside wall in front of Ross Tatum. Spooks the 21. And then utter chaos struck with the 21, the 14 of Sutherland, and that of the 1 of Brandon Colley being the big innocent victim of the incident. As we're getting the replay up, our first caution comes out on lap 13. That will negate our competition caution that we were expecting to have on lap 45, as if there is a caution before our comp caution window, that will take over as the competition caution of the race. And first one of the day, lap 12, and this is what happened. Ollie Fonseca, you're going to see the puff of smoke into the outside wall, spooks the 21 of Ross Tatum, who does not want to lose the momentum, drops down in front of Isaiah Sutherland, and when the front bumper and rear bumper make contact, no, that Nick Crawford had nowhere to go, and 74 luckily able to slide down as Ross Tatum slams the outside wall. It's Isaiah Sutherland drifts up into Brandon Colley, which smacks the one into the outside wall. Heavy collision, and then here comes the roaring field behind this group that's trying to find a way to slow down and get away from not making incidences, and they somehow do. There's some slight contact behind, but everyone's skating away better than the few that were initially apart. Brandon Colley, Ross Tatum require damage for the both of them.
Yeah, it definitely looked like just one of those kind of domino effect, Sam, that one car gets in the wall, one car lets off, and then other cars aren't anticipating it and just kind of run over each other. But I'll have to say, Sam, for the most part, that could have been a lot worse at Dover. People talk about it being a self-cleaning track, and what that means is, there's really nowhere to go when that happens. It's it's chaos, and the field did a really good job there to get checked up, and I think it could have been a lot worse.
It really could have been. Yes, also, when we were looking back on that last shot, there were some drivers that were getting squirrely in the back, that being Thomas Walter, who got ran over by Douglas Newbigging As the 57 was trying to slow down, the 7 did not, which got Walter into the outside wall, and when he came back down, got slightly T-boned by the 53 of Christopher Wade, which Wade is one of those drivers that can't afford to have a bad night if he wants to somehow make a charge to make the playoffs. And with any slight damage, we've talked about it throughout this season, you can get repairs done in this vehicle. It does a really good job of getting almost fully back to 100% state. It's when you get required damage that things do not repair as cleanly. So watch out for Brandon Colley and Ross Tatum that are both trying to get back out on track for the both of them. Both have gotten their required damage finished, but both had to go back into pit road trying to get the damage repaired as best as they can. Isaiah Sutherland, Brandon Colley both going to be one lap down. Ross Tatum most likely going to go a lap down as the field is stacked up and ready to get back underway. Kyle Roosh, that of Ryan Kelly, Chris Stitz, Larry Yingling, Mason Cassidy as well as Shane Tierney going to be your top 5. As the pace car pulls into pit road. Let's get back to green flag action. Competition caution is done. It's over. Now, let's see if we can stay green to the very end as Kelly is back underway.
Ryan Kelly with a really good shot out of the cannon there on the restart. Chris Stitt's going to slide in, and we got another yellow.
It's going to be collisions for the 99 of Kyle Rochelle. Spun around as drivers were trying to stay patient on the entry of the corner, and it did not happen at all. Aggressive driving as the 99 of Kelly, the 2 of Danny Cochran make contact with one another, but once again, the field doing a brilliant job getting around the incident.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised as we're pulling up the replay here to see what happened here, Sam.
As Danny just tried to go for an opening, and Kyle Rochelle trying to block that entry. Late moves all around, and it's the 99 that gets spun around for himself. As we take another look at it, we're going to see from the restart, drivers were trying to give space for one another. And these restarts, I mean, Josh, they can get slightly complicated when you're trying to slow down, check up on one another, and a little bit of gamemanship going on as everyone's trying to get up to speed. Others trying to give space as they get to the restart zone. And then the chaos begins once we go green.
Well, I'll say, Sam, it gets a little tricky at times, too, depending on where you're at in the pack. If you're a little further back, when the green flag waves, some of these guys are still technically in the corner. So you can see where they launch here. Looks like a pretty clean launch for the most part. And then Danny gets a big run. Yeah, it looked like Danny committed, and Kyle just went down to kind of block the run, and just a little too late on the block there. So.
And it will force the 99 into pit road. Christopher Wade once again around the chaos, able to avoid collecting any more damage for the 53. As the field, middle of the pack, has been a danger zone for a lot of the field, but what makes up front maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with this next restart, the 2 other times that the WSSR has ran at Dover, there have only been 2 cautions for the both of them, but this has been a season of breaking curses/trends. So I've got a feeling we might go over 2 if the aggression level kicks up, as some drivers have decided to take their first set of tires as they were given 5 extra sets in pit road to work with. Might as well take one in the early portions if you're deep in the field. Those drivers being Nolan Hicks in 19th position, Douglas Newbigging, Brian P. Johnson, Brad Delph, Noah Steele, Nick Crawford, and as well Thomas Walter going to get their service done. Josh, I mean, taking tires, not a bad call, I would say, here early in this race.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, you got 5 additional sets to work with, and 150 laps really isn't that long of a race here, Sam. I mean, it's a 1 mile racetrack. We're running 30-second lap times, you know, when we're green, obviously, and yeah, I mean, why not with the early cautions? It might not be a bad idea to, you know, put a set of tires on there, maybe try to get off cycle from the leaders, and maybe it presents an opportunity to maybe gain some track position a little bit later in the race.
Able to gain track position for themselves as we're going to be having another lap of pacing on top of this one. Gives us time to shout out the amazing sponsors here at the WSSR. Starting things off with Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee, being the title sponsor of the WSSR, has been an incredible sponsor to have. And if you want to start your day off right with great premium quality coffee in a variety of different flavors, Go over to roastedgems.com and remember to use the promo code WSSR for 5% off when purchasing. And as well, with fantasy football and football season back in the full swing, and for racing leagues about to come to the end of their season, some people would like to have a trophy to show off their victory, or a trophy that might be showing off the poor side of your runs. And where you go to TrophySmack.com. You can find a variety of different trophies, from championship belts, rings, trophies, and more, to be grabbed at TrophySmack.com. Remember to use the promo code WSSRSmack for 10% off. That's the running code to use. Again, that is WSSRSmack for your 10% off on all purchases at TrophySmack.com. As the field is getting set and ready to roll here on this restart. Currently, one of the biggest movers so far is Danny Cochran, Christopher Norris, both up 15 positions, back in 13th and 14th place. But up front, not a lot of movement's been happening inside of our top 10.
Yeah, before we had those, those couple cautions there, we had that top 5 kind of break away from the pack, and it looked like, everyone was pretty content just to ride behind Ryan Kelly to begin with. So that's kind of the advantage here of being the leader. You can kind of control the pace, and it looked like Chris Ditz and Larry Yingling, the lights of those guys, Mason Cassidy, Joshua Kanata, they were fine just kind of riding in line to begin with. So we'll see if these guys are a little bit more urgent on this restart, or if they're happy to just keep logging laps for a little while.
Well, here we go. Up front, Ryan Kelly, Chris Ditz. How well will this restart attack for themselves? Can Larry Yingling time this with a 3 machine? Pace car into pit road as we look for the restart zone. As the flag man is ready, green flag is out, and here we go. A much cleaner start for the whole entire field. A little bit of shimmy and shaking deeper as it's Christopher Wade and others colliding. The 53 couldn't get through the gears as the field is scattered and the yellow flag strikes again.
Yeah, I noticed that, Sam. Right when we got going there, it looked like the front half of the guys took off well, and then toward the middle and back pack, it looked like they just kind of stacked up on that restart, and it looks like Brian P. Johnson got the worst of it.
It looked to be Brian Noel for the second or third time this season. Not able to get through the gearing properly, checks up the whole entire outside lane, and it's further on back with the accordion effect that gets the major damage. And it's our third caution of the day. As you see, the 77 just doesn't take off, and then it gets everyone else squirrely trying to move forward, and Brian going for a ride, almost stacking with Nick Crawford as other drivers are trying not to get even more damage on top of what they were already dealing with.
Yeah, you saw the 14 there of who was that? Isaiah Sutherland got in the back of Brian P. Johnson and just absolutely lifted that car up in the air, and Nick Crawford as well. Some pretty heavy damage back in his car on the wall there as well. So, man, some pretty big attrition early here, Sam.
A lot more than I think we were expecting. That is our third caution of the day, and we are not even on lap 30. Bizarre moments to be seen. And I was telling the drivers, it seemed like if we're at a 1.5-mile course or bigger, we can get these long green flag runs, but anything smaller than that, it's been a struggle this season to have clean long green flag runs until we're much further into the race. Maybe a couple of drivers just struggling here tonight, as everyone that just came into pit road for tires, well, they're all coming back into pit road to get damage repair.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and get your damage repair. We talked about this car being durable, right? So that is the one good thing about some of these guys that may have picked up some damage. I think about Ross Tatum that was involved in that first incident. I was going to, say on his end, the good thing about him is he looked like he hit the wall fairly square. So, hopefully it didn't knock the toe in out or anything like that. But yeah, these cars can take a little bit more of a beating than some of the the Xfinity cars, the truck cars, different vehicles that are run. So that is the one good thing, the durability of these cars. But you don't want to rough it up too bad, Sam, because it's still going to make a difference with having damage.
Absolutely, you do not want to do that at all. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If this is your first time joining with us, we are happy to have you watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. This isn't usually how the races start out for these drivers. It's just kind of a bizarre first couple of laps. We had a good initial stint, and then the restarts kind of got a little bit aggressive here, and want to see some other great racing action on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, remember to subscribe, hit that bell notification button, and ways so you can help out the leagues and for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Remember to like and share the broadcast out to let people know, hey, we're live here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, seeing some great racing action. If you missed it last night, the drama between Zach Hall and Christopher Norris on who was going to win at Spa in the Xfinity car was a treat to watch. Monday night on the ISRC Truck Series, we had the incredible run of seeing who was making the playoffs at Richmond. And tomorrow night, it's the Stars and Stripes Racing Series. They're jumping internationally, heading to Japan to run at Twin Ring Motegi in the Gen 4 cars like they run here at the WSSR. This is the second to last race of the regular season for the Roasted Gems Cup Series drivers, and they are prepared for the playoffs. It's going to be a good first round. I mean, Josh, first round of the playoffs, it's going to go to the bigger tracks. Talladega and Auto Club are going to be the first two races once the playoffs begin in 2 weeks.
Yeah, no pressure, right? Going straight to Talladega, probably one of the biggest wild card races on the circuit. So, and I can tell you from experience too, running those plate tracks with these cars can be really scary when you get to pushing and bumping with, we talk about all the time how the front bumper doesn't line up with the rear bumper, and yeah, it could definitely be a recipe for disaster there. So, but man, that'll be a fun race to watch. So I highly encourage anybody who wants to watch a broadcast, obviously come hang out and watch all of them with us, but that's definitely going to be one of the most exciting ones.
It certainly will be, and other great racing action, like I said, Monday through Thursday here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting is when we are live giving you coverage of all four of the different leagues that we cover. And periodically throughout the month, we also drop other video packages. We got our top 5 finishes of the month, as well as our Cool Down Lap podcast, a deep dive with our behind the scenes, talking to drivers throughout all the different leagues that we race, getting to know them personally on how they got into racing and how their season's going. And as well, newestly, the Slow Down Lowdown, our breakdown recap show of how all 4 leagues are going from our point of view, from up in the booth, and our personal thoughts on how the seasons continue. Well, we are back to green flag action. The outside lane got a much better launch, same throughout the whole entire field. Let's see if this go around, we can go a couple of laps as Ryan Kelly blasts away. He's already got 2 car lengths over Larry Yingling.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly actually took the outside at that time, Sam, on the restart. So, a couple restarts in, why not mix it up and try out the outside and see how that launch was? Looked pretty good so far, and Larry Yingling slots into second place.
Neat, tidy, trying to move forward as we see some of the drivers in the middle of the pack trying to make their passes as it is getting very mixy. Back for 22nd position. This is kind of where the Hornets nest. The drivers that were just caught up in the most recent wreck. Fresh rubber versus old. Currently back here and getting a sense that tire wear isn't going to be a big thing in the early going, but the aggression level for drivers that know that they could be top 10, top 15 runners, it's time to take off as Isaiah Sutherland dealing with the damage, can't hold back Brian P. Johnson as he's on the move.
Yeah, this whole group, Sam, is guys that were all involved in these last incidents. So Brian P. Johnson, as we see a little bit of issues there for Nick Crawford. But yeah, those 3 guys all involved in accidents and racing hard with each other right now.
Then we move forward as the drivers just inside of our top 10. It's Danny Cochran in the 2, Zach Hall in 9th as they're dealing with Brian Noel. Noel, much better restart that go around, able to get through his gearing, but he's watching some very top tier racing between Danny Cochran, our ISRC Truck Series champion, and Zach Hall, who is out of the Full Send Racing Series champion from last season. Challenging, well, the 77 is getting mixy on the outside. What a run for Brian Noel.
Yeah, a couple different agendas here. Looks like Danny Cochran and Brian Noel, they're ready to go, and they're using that outside lane, trying to move forward. Looks like Zach Hall being a little more conservative, running that bottom, maybe saving some tire here. So we'll see where these guys end up as the run goes on.
Driver with the freshest rubber up front, moving forward, going to be Nolan Hicks, who's trying to get by Christopher Norris as those 2 drivers are side by side. Also seeing James Heater falling to the clutches of Aaron Krolick and Douglas Newbigging as they're moving forward. The 18 cannot be affording this big of a loss. Driver we've talked about in the beginning of the season is a driver that can qualify well, but just couldn't find the race pace to have great finishes. And he's in a currently a tricky spot. Same for Nick Crawford, because Ollie Fonseca's having a great run, as both these two need to have at least minimize the amount of point loss going into Charlotte next week, because they could have both turned into the bubble drivers and get pushed out of the playoffs.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And as we look here, the 18 of James Heater continues to lose spots, Sam. So he's hung up on that outside line right now, and I mean, it's just like a freight train down on the bottom. He's losing multiple spots now.
Oh, and Kyle Rochelle putting the pressure on Isaiah Sutherland, pushing the 14 high, and that's going to be using the driver going backwards kind of as a pick. The 99 going to be able to move up to 23rd position, but that conveyor belt, when you're stuck on the outside and old tires, it's a mixture of going backwards quickly like we just saw, as James Heater is now falling all the way back. Our top 8, although, continue to stay in line. That's Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingley, Mason Cassidy, your top 3. But it's going to be seen the 24, Ollie Fonseca, putting the pressure, trying to get by Joshua Kanata.
Yeah, Ollie Fonseca, another one of those bubble drivers, Sam, that we talked about, and he's going to be working hard to move up front, and he's got the Bristol winner behind him of John Forbes, who's starting to move forward as well.
And these 3 drivers, teammates of Larson Line, also teaming up with them, Danny Cochran, Thomas Walter, and Mason Cassidy, who is the highest runner of the Larson Line drivers. All drivers that have moved from the ISRC Truck Series to test out their fates in the WSSR Cup Series, and it's been a joy. The WSSR has kind of turned into the all-star league, you could say, of all our different mixture and mingles of drivers from different leagues that we cover coming out to run, and a couple of new faces like our leader being Ryan Kelly and Shane Terrian, that both have been showing a lot of strength this season on why these rookies could be marching for the Rookie of the Year award.
Oh yeah, we've talked about it all season, Sam. Just the talent level in this series, and man, I mean, you got the crossover of different drivers and different leagues, and guys that run up front in other leagues who, you know, if they can snag a top 10 is a really solid day for them in this league. So just the talent level alone, it's so fun to watch these guys and a bunch of these skill sets come together here on Wednesday nights.
They come clashing together, and it's been a joy to watch how they've been running forward as finally let's getting in line. And when these drivers are side by side, and you can touch on this a little bit more than I could, Josh, on the fact of Dover, the exit of the corner, when you're side by side with someone, such a scary feeling when you're in the car.
Oh, it's really sketchy, Sam, especially as the run goes on. You get to sliding around a little bit, and you know, it doesn't take much if you miss your mark for these walls to come out and grab you. They call it the Monster Mile, and they don't call it that for nothing. So it's sometimes Miles gets hungry, and if you miss your mark and he catches you lacking a little bit, you know, he can, as we see Shantirian dive in and try to make a move for third now.
Also watching Danny Cochran stuck on the conveyor belt going backwards, the 9, trying to give an opportunity, and Ollie Fonseca trying to follow in suit as well, as the front row runners still are top 7 within a second of one another, almost our top 8. They are just piled in. You can put a blanket over all of these drivers, and the way that they just continue to keep the closing rate in, which is terrifying with the way that these cars have been reacting all season long, with the front bumper and rear bumper, one bad tap could spin yourself out, or the driver just in front of you, or both. You have to be worrisome as the run continues to get later and later on when these drivers, the tires could fade away, the braking zones could change. And if you have one bad tap, or if these drivers up front make collisions, we could see a lot of drivers collected in this one, as we take a ride along with Shane Terrian, get a sense on what it's like to see a controller driver run out on track here at Dover, as well as being on top of one another.
Yeah, Shane Terrian, we talk about him all the time in the evil controller scheme. He's just working that wheel slightly. He had a big run there on Mason Cassidy, and to your point, Sam, is kind of tiptoeing around him, because you just got to be really careful, because it doesn't take much if you just driving in a little too deep, or the driver in front of you checks up a little sooner than you're expecting. Really easy to make contact, and especially this far forward in front of the field, I mean, it could be chaos.
And trying his best not to make any mistakes. And behind the 9, it is side by side. Trying to push forward is Zach Hall. You lost a spot or two. Now he's fighting back on taking those positions. And I'm curious on the way we're seeing these drivers kind of dicing back and forth. if the tires, we talk about how tire wear is going to be a factor here at Dover. It always is when we were running at a concrete course on how the tires just get shredded. But I'm curious on maybe it's the tire heat on why we're seeing drivers back off as much as they've been and then able to attack aggressively as Brian Noel works the outside lane trying to get by Danny Cochran, and the 77 stuck on that outer groove, and the rest of the field hoping to follow in the tracks of the two machine.
Yeah, I know we compare this track a lot to Bristol. It's kind of a bigger, badder Bristol in a way, right? Also being a concrete track, but what it really reminds me of, Sam, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is old school Bristol, where it was just really one lane, and if you got shuffled out on the outside, it was like a conveyor belt of cars. You weren't going to just lose one spot, you were going to lose about 6 or 7, and it's kind of the same with this, where guys are trying to save their stuff, and you got to be really calculated when you want to try to make your move. We just saw Shane Tyrion up there trying to pass for 4th place, I believe, and now he's slipped all the way back to 7th. So, you just got to be really calculated when you decide to try to make your move, because if you mistime it, or that car gets under you, you're going to lose multiple spots, not just one.
Now we're starting to see the end of this run. 47 laps into this run. We've had 3 cautions, and it's probably been about that of 38 laps of green flag racing that these drivers have under their belts on these tires, and you can see how everyone's evident flow. The only driver that hasn't changed positions here tonight is Ryan Kelly, who continues to just have a small gap in front of the chaos in his mirror. And what a job by the 3 machine, who's trying to maximize on every point possible to get back into the top 25 for his win to count. But you talked about Shane Terry and that loss of ground. Main reason why the 9 fell back so quickly was because of the lap car. Brandon Colliby on the outside. Lap traffic could become a bigger factor as Mason Cassidy, Ollie Fonseca, the teammates, not giving any breathing room off the exit of 4.
Yeah, that space gets used up really quick, Sam, and both drivers did a really good job giving each other room and not getting in the wall there. But one guy I've got my eye on, Sam, the 32 of Zach Hall. We saw him kind of dropping back, kind of giving some guys space to go random on the outside. He has worked his way up to 5th place, and now he's on the inside of Mason Cassidy there for 4th place. So Zach Hall moving forward in the 32 machine.
Zach Hall, one of the inside of the top 3 of most winningest drivers in the WSSR history books of the 7 seasons that have been ran. And Zach finds himself 3rd on that list. And our top 3 most winningest drivers yet to win this season. Those other 2 being Larry Yingling 2nd in the overall list, and Brian P. Johnson, the ultimate most winningest driver. Looking to see how can Larry Yingling or Zach Hall become the first of those 3 drivers to win this season. Could tonight finally be it, as Zach Hall in the 32, coming off of last night. If you watched last night's race, self-spun, gave up the win to Christopher Norris at Spa with 3 laps to go. And the 32 on that interview last night sounded frustrated, angry, and I'm curious if he's going to channel that anger from a different league last night and put it into the night to go for that victory.
I think that's exactly what he's doing, Sam. I mean, sometimes you can use some anger as motivation. And, I mean, not even last night, Sam, but even last week. We talked about, Zach did a great job. He stepped up to the plate, got the pole position, led several laps, but then made a mistake in the final turn 11 there. And that's when Benjamin Nelson got the lead. And Zach made a late charge to try to put some pressure on him late, but, ultimately just didn't really have anything for him. So, Zach, I raced with him on Tuesday nights, and the man is full of talent. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's always up front. So I have no doubts that Zach Hall is going to get his win, and it could be tonight.
And the battle for 2nd place is now on. It's Ollie Fonseca, who has been just chipping away, same as Zach Hall. They have been moving forward almost as a pair. Ollie gets by the 67. Now for Larry Yingling, he's got to be a little bit terrified. How far back will the 67 fall as he gets a little bit of a shimmy, loses the momentum, and now John Forbes to the inside as Ollie Fonseca, winner on Monday night, moves up to 2nd, trying to run down Ryan Kelly.
That's another man you got to keep an eye on, Sam. Ollie Fonseca, that bubble driver, is moved into 2nd place now as we watch Larry Yingling continue to fall through the field, stuck on that outside line, Sam, that we had just talked about, and he's going to lose multiple positions and fall back deep inside the top 10 here.
Surprising first driver to take an attempt into pit road. This race looking to be maybe a 2 pit stop night. Shane Terrian hits pit road on lap 55 for himself, and he's risking that this race is going to stay green, because if a yellow comes out, he's already 1 lap down, might become 2 once his service is completely done.
And Sam, this is probably one of, if not the hardest tracks to get on pit road. In the whole NASCAR circuit. I mean, it's a very slow pit road, and it comes up on to you in an absolute hurry. So we talked about, you know, trying to get this car woed up is not easy. There's a lot of front brake diode in these cars, and man, if you are not paying attention, it can be really easy to lock up that front tire and slide through, or potentially even get into the barrels like we saw Matt Kenseth do several years ago.
It's so easy. You almost expect it to happen at least once or twice when you're at Dover for someone to get it into the barrels. The question is, who will be that unlucky driver, as Larry Yingling continues to fall back from 2nd now down to 11th, and maybe even more, as it's getting very squirrely back to that 11th position, as they're going to be 3 wide, stacked for a quick second, back to 2x2, as Noah Steele tries to make his way forward, and one of those drivers that's taken fresh set of tires about that of 30 laps ago. Same with Douglas. No!
Trouble.
The 6 goes around, and it's going to be Christopher Norris involved with this one.
Oh man, just like we talked about, Sam, you called it. Saw some guys getting a little squirrely in the pack, and oh man, just nowhere to go for some of these guys, and there's our caution.
Aggressive driving and just a bad tap. And it was the 6 being slightly tapped by Danny Cochran. It goes around. You're going to see the 2 trying to fit the middle, and it just a slow up by the 6, and it's just perfect placement and timing for one driver slip up to make another driver get caught up in the mess.
Yeah, I mean, Larry Yingling was really struggling on the top there, Sam. I mean, he had fallen way back, and just kind of wrong place, wrong time for a lot of these guys. As you can see where they're all coming together. And yeah, looks like just right on board. Christopher Norris here, our winner from last night in the Full Send Series. A couple different hits there. So, and you called it, Sam. The big loser on this, Shane Terrian, our points leader. He had pitted under green, and he's going to be stuck at least a lap down.
It's just one of those things from an outside point of view. You could see, okay, the racing is getting aggressive. It's getting very scary on where the drivers are at. Do you want to even test or try pitting under green? Because it doesn't look like the tires nor the drivers seem patient enough to make it on a full green flag cycle. And it didn't work out for Shane Terrian. He's going to be trapped 1 lap down, but expected to take the wave around, where it'll place him in the tail end of the field. It's the rest of the field. Pit stops underway, going to get service done for themselves. I do want to clarify, that was a racing incident. None of the drivers really did anything wrong. It was just a simple backing of the pace, and there was a driver there. It's the way these front and rear bumpers have been working with one another this season. As the drivers take off, it's Ryan Kelly going to keep the lead. Zach Hall up to 2nd, or Willie, as drivers staying out. Isaiah Sutherland going to be trying to get a wave around and potentially hoping to help find himself with a bonus point for leading a lap. For us up at the booth, though, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's more racing action at Dover as the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series Race 10 in the books. Dover's been a good one so far. Let's see how this restart's going to handle these drivers when we come back. wide behind her pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets run. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, and the 4 demolishes in the 28. And we are green here at Dover for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. My name's Sam Dyer. With me is Joshua Altus, Robert Moyer Jr., Ryan Productions in the background, Ryan Kelly, Zach Hall, front 2 already. Going to be 3 car lengths ahead of Ollie Fonseca, and the back half of the field getting slightly mixy with one another, side by side for 8th place. But it's into the wall. Noah Steele as he falls to the clutches, the outside wall. That wall has been used up quite a bit here in the early portions of this race. But everyone's trying to settle in. How is their car going to react here as everyone's got fresh rubber? Shane Tarian is back on the lead lap, but he's only back in 28th position. Has a long road to get back inside of the top 10.
Yeah, fresh tires, Sam. It's almost like getting a brand new pair of fresh shoes that you let them show off. So, and these guys are feeling good. As we look toward the front of the field, we got Zach Hall and Ollie Fonseca battling each other for the 2nd position. Ollie Fonseca's going to take it, and we just talked about it, Sam. It's going to be interesting to see what Zach Hall does here. He lets to run that bottom, kind of conserve his tires. We saw how strong he was on that late run there, so interesting to see how far he's going to fall back here.
And also, it's interesting to watch how the outside lane, fresh rubber, the outside lane is the preferred place to be if you're going to make passes, but it's later in the run where the outside lane is the worst place to find yourself. The ebbs and flows of how this track and tires are going to be changing throughout tonight's race, as we're still not even at the halfway point of this run, of this overall race, as they continue to pile on the aggression as Nick Crawford caught up in early wrecks. He was caught up in 2 different separate wrecks, and now inside the top 10. What a recovery run for the 74.
Yeah, what a huge battle back by Nick Crawford, running up in 6th position now and just right outside our top 5. We saw him back his number 74 machine up against the wall in one of those wrecks, and great recovery run from Nick Crawford.
And for Nick Crawford, his ultimate goal, minimize the difference for Ollie Fonseca, is between 74 and the 24, as Ollie is trying to grab all the points that he can, so he's that last driver on the cutoff line to make sure he can make the playoffs. As Nick Crawford is technically, if Ryan Kelly makes it into our top 25 and points in his win counts, would be the driver for that. Nick Crawford is keeping as the number 1 driver to stay inside of our playoffs. But battle for the lead's underway. Ollie Fonseca showing the first opportunity for the pass to the outside. Ryan Kelly hasn't had any problems with other drivers, and now he's going to have Ollie Fonseca, one of his favorite tracks for the 24, and our Bristol winner of John Forbes right behind the 3.
Yeah, first major test of the night, Sam, for Ryan Kelly here. He's been the man out front all night, and now here comes Ollie Fonseca, and I think he's going to get it here soon.
Ollie Fonseca trying to carry the momentum after winning at Richmond Monday night in the ISRC Truck Series. He will take the lead position and already up by almost 3/10 over 2nd place. An incredible run for himself. Trouble though on the backstretch. James Kaufman gonna be slow. He stayed green, but massive left side damage after getting to that inside wall.
Yeah, James Kaufman, but as we go back up here to 2nd now, it's John Forbes taking over the 2nd position, our Bristol winner, Sam. So the concrete kings are starting to surface to the top here.
They're starting to find themselves comfortable up front, and I was talking with Ollie Fonseca, John Forbes, and others before this race started, and they were talking about how they felt like this race is going to be a lot more fun because they're used to running the trucks on Mondays. This track, this car combo, it feels a lot more driver friendly, and they're able to run this track whether they want, and showing so much confidence when you're in a vehicle that shows that you can run well, because now Nick Crawford, another driver that runs on Monday nights, he's putting the pressure on that of Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, I'm interested to see because Ryan Kelly, he's been up front all night, so he hasn't had to deal with any kind of traffic or anything like that. So I'm interested to see if he's taking the Zach Hall approach and just kind of biding his time, trying to save his tires, or if he really has starting to struggle a bit now. So we'll see how he does as the run goes on.
As this is the battle going on for 7th place, Zach Hall, who fell, he started second on that restart, just continued to fall position after position. As Joshua Canada behind him, Mason Cassidy qualified second as well in 9th. Douglas Newbegin's did a great job recovering for the 7 machine up to 10th. But when does that change for the drivers that were saving their tires start to attack? It looked to be around 30 laps to 35 laps into a green flag run where we saw that change up. As our race control, Steve Benjamin giving us the notification, we're at the halfway point of this race. When will that swing happen? I've been predicting maybe in the next 15 laps, we might see these drivers that are giving up time. They might be the ones that are on the attack for the later stages.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, Sam. It's kind of when do you go type of deal. And some of these guys are really strong on the short run here, but kind of with Ollie Fonseca, he was one of those drivers that was coming on late in the run last run with Zach Hall, but he elected to go out the gates. As now we got another battle for the lead. John Forbes is looking for the lead.
John Forbes did a very early apex point, trying to set up the backstretch to find that extra speed, which was massive to give an attempt to go side by side. He's going to have to fall back in line. But Ollie Fonseca, defensive run, and as these two continue to battle, that gap that they built out, well, it's gone. It is now back down to a half a second between 1st and 3rd place as Ryan Kelly, Nick Crawford, they're closing in on this battle for the lead.
Yeah, that they are, Sam. They're closing in 3rd and 4th place right now. And as we look a little further back behind them, Cedric Hunter and Chris Stitz, another pair of cars that are working their way to the front. So a lot of really good runs tonight. Chris Stitz has been toward the front all night, so keep an eye on the 17 car as the race goes on here too.
And looking back at drivers that are having issues, James Heater, who was caught up in one of the more recent incidences, the 18 needing a massive run. He currently, with Brian Kelly not being in our top 25, he was the cutoff driver. He has officially been in pit road. It is 20 laps down, still getting service done. On top of that, has a black flag for speeding into pit road. The 18 could be bounced out of that chance to battle for a championship and making the playoffs. He's going to have a long day next week at Charlotte, the last race of the regular season. So we've got ourselves 28 drivers still on the lead lap.
Yeah, definitely not the night James Heater was hoping for, Sam. I mean, it's going to put a lot of pressure on him going into Charlotte next week. So we'll have to see how the points shake out, but it could potentially put him in possibly a must-win situation next week.
In our first 2 cautions, the big victim looked to be Christopher Wade. Had a couple of drivers swipe in front of him. He got ran over in the rear end. The 53 still able to recover after the pass on Jonathan Cogswell. Now up to 17th is Wade as he tries to move forward. Cogswell going backwards, and we might be seeing some 3 wide. Let's try it out. X in the corner. It's going to get tight as you got Cogswell on the outside, Kralik in the middle, Ross Tatum on the bottom, and oh no! They spin it behind. It's Isaiah Sutherland and Danny Cochran going around.
Oh, 3 wide doesn't seem to be these drivers' friend tonight, Sam. It seems like anytime we got cars that get stacked up 3 wide, just attrition breaks out. So it looks like Danny Cochran and the 14 of Isaiah Sutherland involved again in another incident.
This 2 machine just has to have a magnet on his front bumper. It's not that he's causing these incidences. It's just a driver checks up in front of Danny and a driver's going around. And once again, that 2's front bumper just needs to be a little bit shorter, and I think Danny might be having a better night tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't even really the 3 wide either. I mean, they looked like they kind of held their line, and yeah, you talk about Sam. Oh, yeah, just gasses up a little too quick there, gets right under the 14, lifts them up, and then the 08 into the 2 car, and then there they go spinning.
Spun around, and just like that, another caution is outside. And now what a time for an incident as drivers come into pit road, get service done. No one is being patient at 22, 23 laps, not feeling comfortable to stay out on track. Gonna feel like a victim of going backwards if you stay on those old tires. So everyone into pit road. For some, only using their 2nd set of 5, others using their 3rd set of 5. As pit road exit. It's busy. Drivers hoping to get out on track. The question, I think, from my point of view, with these drivers, when is the point that maybe you have an early pit stop, you see everyone coming to pit road, do you even attempt going for a two-tire stop and kind of try to grab that knowledge of how a two-tire stop could advance you in track position and maybe your car will run better?
Yeah, I think it just depends where you're at, Sam. And, I think, the drivers that we've seen that look really strong on the long run, like Zach Hall, even Ollie Fonseca, those guys, I feel like you're confident on four tires as long as the race kind of plays out to what you're hoping for. But, if you're back out there, maybe outside the top 10 a little bit, or maybe in a point situation, why not maybe roll the dice and take two tires if you've only got about 20 laps on them, and see if you can gain some track position. It might not be a race winning move, but it could certainly be a move that gets you some track position.
Well, a driver that lost a lot under pit road, Ryan Kelly, falling all the way down to 9th place now. The driver that dominated the first half of this run now is going to be in the heart of the battle. How is Kelly going to have to deal with this? Because with the way those first 60, 70 laps looked, this driver looked to be the most dominant driver that was untouchable. And now he's got to deal with all the madness stuck in the middle of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he had this thing on cruise control for most of the race, Sam. So I think we're about to find out how good that 3-car really is. Now, I think it is important for Ryan Kelly, even though he may be frustrated and get back in traffic, kind of think of the bigger picture, right? We've talked about him just really needing to get inside that top 25. So even though, you've dominated the race, you've had an excellent run so far, don't throw a good run away just because you're frustrated on a pit road mistake. So, I think it's going to be important for Ryan Kelly here to just kind of keep the big picture in mind, and as he tries to work his way back toward the front.
Well, as the drivers are waiting for the when-to-go indicator to be given out, let's shout out our sponsors once again that have helped out the WSSR this season and in the past. Starting things off with our title sponsor, Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee, talked about their different varieties of flavors. Well, there is certainly a lot to choose from. You've got the classics. You just get simple black coffee, get vanilla flavor. They've got a maximum caffeine flavor to help make sure you wake up and ready to go. But they also have great merchandise you can check out, from mugs, shirts, and more. Remember, go check out Roasted Gems. Primarily premium great coffee, but they've also got more for you to check out. And when you're purchasing, remember to use the code WSSR for 5% off. And as well, Trophy Smack. Go be the envy of your competition by grabbing your championship belt that you got from Trophy Smack. TrophySmack.com is your ultimate destination for that of championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. And here at the WSSR, the last couple of seasons, it's been a championship ring. Well, this season, it's a championship trophy that the winning driver who gets the championship is going to get customized for that driver, and everyone is hunting for it. And when you're purchasing at TrophySmack.com, remember to use the promo code WSSRSmack for 10% off. And I want to give a huge apology. I did not shout it out at qualifying. I simply forgot. That is a big problem on me. Want to give a huge shout out to Brandon Colley's mom for being the qualifying results sponsor. Always hoping for Colley to have a great qualifying run just outside of the top 10. Hopefully he'll have a better race next week at Charlotte. We're back underway. John Forbes, Cedric Hunter going to be the top 2. Zach Hall is falling back to the clutches of 5th place. And here we go, battle for the lead, and it's Cedric Hunter who's trying to take that lead position. Our winner from Daytona to start the season off. He wants a chance for glory.
Yeah, a couple new players toward the front here. Sam, is the 13 Hello Kitty car going to give some action to John Forbes. So side by side for the lead here. Let's see if Cedric Hunter can get out front.
Bringing out the pink and hoping that it's going to bring out some good luck here tonight. And not able to take the lead position just yet. Falling back to 6th, going to be Nick Crawford, Chris Stitt side by side. Mason Gassi, Douglas Newbigging. And then right behind them, it's Ryan Kelly and Brian Noel. Where do you go? How do you place your bumper to move forward? Well, they're going to need another chance as Christopher Norris caught up in an incident.
Caution out. Looks like the 08 of Brian with the I Johnson, as well as Brandon Colley, and set the note the 25 as well.
That looks to be Brian with an I Johnson. That of 14, Kyle Rochelle, Christopher Norris, and Danny Cochran going to lead last at the end. You're going to see the stack up on the outside lane. It's going to be Brian with an I Johnson having an issue on the exit of the corner. Slips up. Isaiah Sutherland nowhere to go. And as he gets slipped here, Sutherland's trying not to cause any more issues, but it's just kind of a pointed system, sending him to the inside. Danny runs into Christopher Norris, but then right behind them, Brandon Colley's going to get a shot from James Kaufman, who are coming in late here.
Golly, I mean, it's just nowhere to go. The 08 just gets loose on exit to turn 4 there, and just absolutely nowhere for the 14 car to go. Isaiah Sutherland has had a very, very adventurous night for all the wrong reasons, and caught up in it, as well as Danny Cochran, as well as Christopher Norris, our winner from last night.
A lot of issues ballooning out for these drivers, as that's going to be our most recent caution. And for us up at the booth, hey, let's step away. This might be our last time stepping away, maybe not. We're hoping that we can get to green flag racing action, as this most recent yellow that came out might be the window. They can maybe be able to take it from here. So we'll come back, give you the clear answer. Well, you've been watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series at Dover. We'll be back right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
into the restart zone, and we are back to green flag action for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. My name's Sam Dyer. With me is Joshua Altis. As it's side by side for second place, John Forbes is gone, and it's Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, trying to figure out who's going to be the one to take off and try to challenge John Forbes. Or could we see Nick Crawford, Ollie Fonseca get in the mix, as they're still side by side for second?
Yeah, we're getting down to the end of it here, Sam. We've got just over 50 laps to go, and we got the cream starting to rise to the top now.
And with these drivers, that last caution and the one other to that, allowing these drivers to save a little bit of fuel, and I believe fuel-wise, these drivers are in the good to stretch the fuel to the end of this race. The question is, how do you survive to the end? We've seen a lot of different incidences deeper in the field recently, but up front, it's just going to get more and more chaotic as you see side-by-side action going down for 8th place. It's Brian Kelly trying to get moving forward. He's only moved up 2 spots from where he restarted deep in the field after a poor pit stop for himself. Also having Mason Cassidy and not Brian Noel, Brian Johnson in mixing with Larry Yingling also back here outside of the top 10.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly's definitely one I got my eye on. Up to 8th place, Sam. Not moving a lot forward from what we maybe expected, but yeah, we'll see if he can continue to move forward as we get in the late stages here.
Looking at the drivers inside of our top 10, there's only 5 of them that qualified inside of our top 10, and then the other 5, some have been outside of the top 20 where they qualified, such as Douglas Newbigging and Brian P. Johnson. Others just hoping for a good night to finish out this evening. It's been a tough one. The roller coaster that you can control here at Dover. At heights, from highest to lowest point on the track, it's 3 stories, and these drivers have control of where they want to go as you ride on board the 77. Brian Noel picking and choosing, does he want to go high, low, or just following the tracks of the Season 1 champ?
Yeah, Brian Noel doing a good job riding just outside the top 10 here, and we see most of the guys, and it looks like he's going to try to get to the inside of them, but no luck there. All these guys have kind of started riding a single file line here, Sam, just trying to save their tires for that last stretch.
How aggressive are you willing to be right now? Everyone looks at single file out as John Forbes has really gapped himself in the rest of the field. He's already have a 1.1 second gap over Zach Hall. And update on Shane Tarian, back out on track, was having some internet issues under pacing, and is currently trying his best to minimize the 4 laps down that he has, hoping more drivers are going to have issues as the 9 settles in to try to stay in front of the 11 machine.
Yeah, coming into tonight, Sam, Shane Tarian had a 23-point points lead on Larry Yingling, so this could be massive, a swing in the points for the regular season champion here. So Shane Tarian currently running 4 laps down, 28th on track, where Larry Yingling is currently P12 right now. So, I mean, that's a pretty big swing in the points right now.
That it is, and Larry Yingling still trying to search for that first win of the season. Larry's got 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and trying to grab another to the stat book of a top 10 finish. Driver that could be tying with the most top 10s this season, Brian P. Johnson in the 28 machine, comes into this race with 6. Cole Sacchetti, Shane Tarian, both tied with 7 top 10 finishes. And a yellow flag's gonna strike. It's Brad Delp, the 6 machine. Trouble on the entry of turn number 3, on the entry of turn 4 as well.
Yeah, Brad Delp was one of those guys that got caught up in one of those previous cautions as well. And yeah, tough night for the SIDS car so far.
As it will fall all the way down to the 26th position. Field here is what brought out the yellow. See the 99 of Kyle Rochelle. This is kind of the incident we saw a lot in those first 4 to 5 races of the season, of just not able to check up in time, get in the rear bumper. And for Brad Delp, what a save to make sure he didn't get into that inside wall, where we've seen a couple of drivers when they get caught up in an incident, it's where they're heading.
Yeah, it's very rare that you spin here at Dover, Sam, and don't hit anything. So credit to Brad Delp there. And, you know, one thing I did want to highlight is we're seeing all the leaders come to pit road here. A couple guys stayed out, though, Sam. Looks like Douglas Newbigging, Nolan Hitz, and Noah Steele stayed out on track. So we talked about rolling the dice and maybe trying to get some trap position. But to my point before that, Sam, you know, we've seen a couple incidents tonight where it's been 2 and 3 car wrecks, but for the most part, I don't think we've seen that really massive wreck that sometimes we see at Dover, the big one where it's, you know, almost double-digit cars involved.
Yeah, that's the thing is the closer we get to the end of this race, the more of that chance growing more, especially now that we're going to see this major tire difference. This is going to be the biggest one of the whole entire race as the drivers up front, Douglas Newbegin, Nolan Hicks, Noah Steele, Brad Delph, 20 lap older tires than those that are going to be exiting pit road now, being led by John Forbes, Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, Nick Crawford, and also Ollie Fonseca. Going backwards, is Isaiah Sutherland, going to be given the lucky dog spot, 14. Going to go to the end of the line on this next restart. And for Shane Tarian and for Brandon Colley, they were hoping to take the wave around, but because of those top 4 decided to stay out, they were not able to get a lap back that they were hoping to grab.
Yeah, that's tough for those guys. Been a really tough night for Brandon Colley, James Heater. But again, Sam, as many incidents as we've had, we've only got 3 drivers that are laps down, which is pretty wild to think about. You'd think with some of these rets, we'd have half the field a lap down, but yeah, it looks like only Shane Tyrion 4 laps down, Brandon Colley 10 laps down, and then James Heater 44 laps down. So could be a lot worse in terms of drivers. So hats off to the guys that have been able to stay out on the lead lap.
As you might be curious why the 9 was just sitting on the apron. Well, for the 1 and the 9, like I said, they were hoping to get the wave around, but were not able to be gifted it because drivers stayed out. They were on the lead lap, not allowing the wave around to be accepted. So the 9 and the 1 machine both have to go to the end of the line for the both of them. As Douglas Newbegin going to be the lead driver, that of Nolan Hicks, Noah Steele, Brad Delph. Now, for Douglas Newbegin, he was slowly marching his way forward. He was inside of the top 10. I have to believe he was 8th at the time of the yellow. Now going to be the lead driver, old tires. How are you thinking these drivers mentally are going to be set up for this, knowing there's only 4 of them compared to the rest of the field who just got fresh rubber?
Well, I was just about to ask you the same thing, Sam, and I'll say this: if I'm Douglas Newbegin, I'm thankful that I've got 3 friends with me. We've seen it multiple times across different leads where one guy stays out and everybody pits behind them. So at least he's not in a situation where he's about to get eaten alive by the entire pack. So he's got a little bit of a cushion, could allow him to kind of save some track position. I don't look for these tires to hold up. I think the new tires are still going to prevail, but at least in Douglas's point of view, maybe he can hang on solidly inside the top 10, maybe get a caution, and then maybe everyone else comes down and he can cycle with the leaders and leap some guys and get some track position. But why not try it? Douglas doesn't have a win yet this year. He's 10th in points right now. Why not try something different?
I mean, I like trying something different. It allows, track position to be grabbed. And if you're able to minimize the amount of track position is lost on these restarts, it's going to be a big net gain for those 4 drivers up front. But this restart is going to be a big game changer. Watch out for that second row. Will they be able to get a good launch, or could there be wheel spin that ruins this restart? Pace car into pit road, entering the Geico restart zone. It's in the hands of the 7 on the outside. Here we go. We're back to green flag action. Here at Dover, the outside lane did not take off as cleanly as they wanted. Most of the inside row got a good launch, and I take it back. They're wrecking and spilling as they're entering turn number 1.
Yeah, the Sid's car did not get a good launch there, Sam. That outside line really checked up. But the guys on the fresh tires were able to do a good job and not run anybody. But yeah, it looks like toward the back of the pack, just kind of more of the same, Sam, that we've seen tonight. Just guys, having issues on restarts.
And look to be checkups really because of that. Watch out for seeing Zach Hall. He's slowing down, and it just accordions back from the 32 back all the way to the 17, the 28, not expecting the slowdown. Brian Noel's not expecting them to be starting to wreck, and from here, let the chaos come down as the rest of the field tries to scatter on where to go. Larry Yingling going to be involved, and with a driver just going backwards in the middle of the field, you can't really slow down or react. It's just everyone piling in from there.
Oh man, yeah, that's a tough hit for Brian with the Y Johnson, and Chris Stitz was involved as well. See Kyle Rochelle right there in the 99. Yeah, just calamity, Sam, and it all started from that chain reaction there with Zach Hall, giving space to Brad Delph, who didn't get a great launch, and it just kind of dominoed back, and that's what happens.
Well, I mean, it had a feeling. Old tires, bad restart was bound to happen, and they're all 4 of those drivers still inside of the top 5. And so it's time for round number 2. How are the old tires going to compete on this restart? As for James Heater, it looks to be his engine is expired for the 18, still trying to get those damage repaired as he was caught up in that incident, in an earlier incident over 50 laps ago. Larry Yingling, Ross Tatum, they're trying to get their black flags cleared because of how early the incident was. Some drivers just ducked immediately to the apron and got a cut for a unsafe pit exit. And so now those drivers are trying to, throw out their case. Hey, I got a penalty for avoiding that wreck. Can I get this black flag cleared? Yet to happen yet. They're hoping it does.
Yeah, you see Ross Tatum, one of the drivers, lobbying to our race control, Stephen Benjamin, seeing if he can get that black flag cleared. So, generally speaking, I feel like whenever it's, when it comes to missing a wreck, and it looks like Ross's penalties were cleared by Stephen Benjamin. So, generally speaking, when you're, just trying to avoid a wreck, Sam, I think that's normally, all good in terms of getting penalties cleared.
It usually is, and with that clearance, Ross is going to be restarting only back in 22nd position, but it's going to be a long race as we still have 40 laps to go before this race is done. And then it throws into that wrench of, well, the drivers that just came into pit road who got damage repair, they're going to be back in half of the field, but we still have those 4 drivers that did not pit under our last yellow. We never got a green flag run to see what big of a difference it's going to be compared to those that just got fresh rubber, compared to Douglas Newbegin, that of Hicks, Steele, Delph. How are their cars going to react once we do get rolling? It's going to be a big thing to watch out for.
Yeah, I think this is kind of best case scenario for those drivers that stayed out, Sam. I think if you can run a lap or 2 and then grab a caution, we talk about heat cycles on tires, and I don't know if it'll quite even out with it being about a 20-lap difference on the tires, but maybe, depending on how long it goes and how many cautions we get here in a row, you can potentially, when you go to pit, if you decide to pit, one more time, you can possibly bring those guys with you, and then you've really gained track position at that point. So going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think, if we get a green flag run, they'll eventually kind of get eaten up by those fresh tires. But like we talked about, Sam, why not try to roll the dice? Douglas Newbegin, he doesn't have a win this year. So, 40 laps to go at Dover. It's been a chaotic and hectic race. Why not try something new and see if you can maybe steal one tonight?
As the field is set and getting prepared for how this restart is going to attack, lights are off. Kyle Rochelle going to be leaving pit road, staying only laps to 99. 27 drivers on the lead lap. But as the field gets prepared for this restart, for Hicks, Bigging, Steele, and Delph, again, they are good on fuel from here on out. So if this race does turn into a cluster of a lot of wrecks, they're not forced to come into pit road. It just is more of a you made your bed, now you got to lay in it situation at this point.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Sam. And that's the tough part, is it's kind of a moving target. And when do you decide that, I've made my bed, as you're saying, and you're committed to staying out. So, interesting to see. We got about 40 laps to go. It's going to get good.
Well, we talked about the Shane Terrian and Larry Yingling regular season championship battle. Well, Christopher Wade has just been dropped out with packet loss. That could be a position to be gained by the 9 machine to try to minimize just 1 point over the 6 and 7 who was just caught up in that last incident. Green flag is out. A good launch for the inside of the 7. Again, another checkup on the outside lane, but a much cleaner start for everyone else throughout the field.
Yeah, it looks to be a much cleaner start, Sam, and immediately you see John Forbes using that outside line. He's up to 3rd, and he's going to be looking for 2nd down here in 3 and 4.
Fresh rubber outside lane is so useful to be used, but Nolan Hicks, every little bit of grip that's left in that 86 machine, he continues to fight and box in. That is John Forbes, not allowing him to take off and go for a run. Zach Hall, who's known for saving his tires in the beginning of a run, he's starting to fall back into the clutches as Larry Yingling's penalty has been cleared. He's able to continue to run on the lead lap, but they continue to stay side by side for 3rd place. John Forbes not able to react, and now this puts in the game plan for Cedric Hunter. Could he be on the attack mode?
And if you're Douglas Newbegin here, Sam, I can only imagine the big smile he's got in his car right now, because you've got your friends who stayed out with you, and they are boxing in those fresh tires that Cedric Hunter is going to dive in the inside of John Forbes. You got the guys on tires battling each other now, and you're continuing to sail away.
Might be wondering, how is that so efficient between Noah Steele and Nolan Hicks? Well, those are teammates that have been really putting on some great runs for themselves, and getting reports of drivers putting down some of the fastest laps of the race. Won that Rocky Man 1 bonus point award. Nolan Hicks, fastest lap has been placed by the 86 machine.
Nolan Hicks, I'm looking right now, Sam, 26th place in points right now, so could be a massive result if Nolan Hicks could find himself to victory lane tonight.
If he gets a win, and if he does, most likely he'll bump himself into the top 25, and could be another factor of drivers to watch out as, woo, Brad Delp, those old tires showing a scare off the exit of the corner. He taps the apron and hoping not to collect Chris Titz on the outside, but if Hicks can find himself in a victory lane, that could be another position pushing another driver who's trying to point their way into the playoffs.
Oh man, Sam, and he's gonna be looking for the lead right now as they're coming off turn 2. He's got a fender underneath the 7, and here they go, battling for the lead down in turn 3.
Battling for the lead is side by side. Also, they were almost 3 wide, battling for 5th, but it's Douglas Newbigging working his way forward, but can he hold off the quick charger of Nolan Hicks? But they also got to be worried about the fresh tires behind him of Cedric Hunter. Noah Steele did his best to hold back the Hello Kitty machine, but it's time to say hello. Might be a new leader with Cedric Hunter there.
Yeah, don't look now, Sam, but that 13 car is getting bigger and bigger in their mirrors right now. So objects are definitely closer than they may appear, as the 13 car is now on the back bumper of Nolan Hicks.
And Hicks, he's trying to figure out how to place forward, but it might be better just to be the defensive roadblock. If you keep the 13 behind and then a caution flag comes out in the next 5 to 6 laps, it might be a big enough buffer to cause drivers to go into pit road. Not able to hold off though. Now it's the 13 to the inside, moving up to second place. Noah Steele old tires, they've given up. He's now under the conveyor belt going backwards as he's got to watch every position just fall away. And Stitz is now stuck behind that of the 88 machine. Cedric Hunter, Zach Culp on the pressure, all to the outside, but not able to make that pass just yet.
It is getting dicey, and Sam, I've got to say, no matter what at this point, I know that the tires have seemingly caught these guys right now, but what a call by these guys to stay out on old tires. I mean, taking a chance that Zach Hall's going to throw it, thought better of it, and bats out of it. Man, but yeah, these guys on older tires, really great call to gain some trap position, and Douglas Newbigging doing what he's got to do right now.
And Nolan Hicks, he's about to be set on that conveyor belt going backwards. Be sent outside of the top 10. He needs a yellow now badly. Otherwise, he's just going to lose too many spots to fight back as the 11 now going to be set up. John Forbes taking the 4th place position, sending the 86 back even further as Douglas Newbigging, he's about to lose that lead. And on John Forbes, off the nose, Ryan Kelly, the 11, sent to the outside wall, and caution flag strikes.
Oh my God!
Oh,
absolutely
no!
Hit late by Christopher Norris. It looked like he had escaped coming down the track, Sam. And last second, it looked like the Christopher Norris just absolutely killed him.
Oh, the self-cleaning track of Dover, even on the straightaways, they're still banking there. And Norris's collision required damage for the 838. And what's wild, he has required damage. The 11 does not. Oh, you hate to see it. Just aggressive driving, try to slide his way in. Wasn't going to work. The rear to front bumper incident collects the 11. He's sliding down, but when he hits Hicks, it sends him back up into the track. And this is the worst case scenarios. Nick Crawford gets more contact. Really can't see it with these shots, but when he comes back down with the self-cleaning track, even when you're on the brakes, it sends you to the bottom. And Christopher Norris just nowhere to go. The teammates on Monday night make contact, and Thomas Waltzer tries to get through. And with that, it is pretty much a night called for the 11.
And I've got to say, Sam, again, I mean, to be in the middle of the front pack, a really great job by a lot of these guys. Just absolutely nowhere for Christopher Norris to go. He's running the bottom, and at that point, even if he jumped on the brakes, I mean, he's just got absolutely nowhere to go. But incredible driving by this pack here, Sam, and Now that we talked about it, those guys that stayed out on those older tires, Sam, they have forced pretty much everyone else to come to pit road, but now we have a new cast of characters that decided to stay out here.
Chris Stitz, who fell back all the way to 8th, 9th, and he's been just afloat there for most of the evening. Now going to be in 2nd place. Brian Noel, I feel like for Noel, if he has a bad incident of, misshifting on a restart, he always finds a way to recover after that incident and find himself in a top 5 spot where he is now for the 77. What a massive run this could be, as he's one of the drivers that's trying his best to potentially sneak his way, because Noel's 18th in points. This is a massive points day to try to fight for a chance to point his way into the playoffs.
And one thing to note, Sam, so the 13 and the 17, who are going to start on our front row, they have about 20 lap older tires than the rest of the field that just came in. Brian Noel last pitted on lap 109. It may have just been fuel, though, I believe. So his tires are probably the same, but it looks like he's got a little bit extra fuel in that car.
Yeah, he was actually, I believe he was getting a slight damage repair on the 77 because he caught up in one of those late one of the more recent yellows. Wanted to make sure he got all that damage repair. It was just a couple of seconds of optional, got it done, and like I said, top 3 old tires. Everyone else just got the fresh rubber. Douglas Newbigging, who was the formerly in this position that Cedric Hunter, Stitz, and Noel are in, he's now in the fighting spot in 4th place. Zach Hall, who's been patient. I think patience has to be thrown out the window. Zach has to show some quick early aggression, use up these tires, because it's really those last 30 to 35 laps into a run where you see the major fall off on tires. Those first 20 laps, it is crystal to send it as aggressively as you want, and you're not going to feel that fall off at all.
Oh yeah, it's go time now, Sam. There's not much saving to be had now with about 25 laps to go. If you've got the tires, it's time to use them. So it'll be interesting to see, Zach Hall's strategy where he's, like you said, Sam, just kind of taking it easy, run that little lower line, saving his tires, all that, throw that out the window. It's time to go.
Well, if you've been enjoying our broadcasts here tonight and the utter madness that we're preparing for, let's remember to hit that share button. Let's get more people inside of the chat to recognize WSSR's incredible racing, the top tier level of action. I know there's been a lot of cautions this evening, and I'm excited for next week. Charlotte, last race of the regular season, make or break on who could win to get into the playoffs. And there's a lot of drivers with winning potential that might be in a must-win scenario next week. So you're not going to want to miss any of the action. Remember to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification to be notified when we go live. Like, share, and as well, commenting is the biggest way to be pushing out Freaky Fast Broadcasting and letting the leagues be known. The bigger the leagues get, the more sponsors, the more big names we can get involved. And it is a pleasure to give you, again, all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Green flag is out. A good run for a front 2, but we're already 3 wide as Zach Hall had to make an evasive maneuver to make sure he didn't run over the 77.
Yeah, important thing to note, though, Sam, he did back off and let the 77 keep the position. So,
no! Ollie Fonseca, massive collision for the 24, and they continue to pile in late.
Oh, just absolutely heartbreaking for Ollie Fonseca, Sam. He's run such a great race tonight. He's on the points battle, and oh man, what an absolute heartbreaking end to the night for Ollie Fonseca.
And it looked to be just over-aggressive driving, not being patient. The patience is out the window. And it's Ollie Fonseca being clipped here by the 88. Exit the corner, gasses it up, taps the 24, sends him into Joshua Kanata and everyone else trying to avoid. And Claire Yingling, Brian P. Johnson making contact, Brad Delph spinning out to try to not get collected. And that was a horrific spill for the 24.
Yeah, that was a massive collision there, Sam. Turned the 24 into the outside wall there, and man, hit the wall head on. And man, my heart absolutely breaks for Ollie Fonseca. He was running such a great race tonight, doing everything right, staying out of trouble. And it looks like Little Mitt's back here. It looks like Chris Stitz electing to come to pit road. Interesting call.
I mean, Chris Stitz, I don't understand why you pit now. I mean, you're just giving up positions for free instead of being able to stay out there Yes, you're on much older tires, but like we saw before, it's not until you get into a green flag run and maybe you're 5 or 6 laps into a good run that you start to fall back. You were in a prime position to maybe hold some positioning, but instead you freely give up over 10, 15 positions. And for Chris Stitz, he's going to take the toe to pit road. It might just be an official call for the 17 to call it a night early.
Yeah, not sure. Kind of interesting. We'll have to follow up and see what exactly happened there. But yeah, very interesting call to see the 17 come to pit road, where he seemingly was in a really good position to possibly contend for the win tonight.
There was no required damage for the 17 machine. It was just a bizarre I'm going pulling into pit road, which now is going to be forcing that of Cedric Hunter. Yeah, and he's a sitting duck with Douglas Newbigging and the 7 machine, fresh as the tires up front. But 4th place being Ryan Kelly. Kelly, again, if you've been watching this race all night long, the first 60 laps were dominated by Ryan Kelly, just holding back the rest of the field. Then he fell all the way back to that of 10th place and has been trying to slowly march his way forward, but it's been a struggle. Well, with some of these incidences, the different pit stop strategies, the 3 is back inside of the top 5.
Yeah, really good job by Ryan Kelly to keep his composure and fight back tonight, Sam. We've highlighted it tonight. Ryan Kelly's sole goal is to be in the top 25 in points by the end of next week. So he's doing exactly what he needs to do. I believe he was about 15 points out from 25th tonight. So if tonight doesn't put him inside the top 25, he should be really close heading into Charlotte for the cutoff race.
This is going to be an incredible run to the end of this race. It's going to be 20 laps to go, a little bit less than 20 laps to go for these drivers. Once we go green, Cedric Hunter going to be the lead driver on 20 lap older tires than the rest of the field. Douglas Newbigging on the freshest of sets of the drivers instead of our top 10. Brian Noel is on old tires on top of that. So you got 17, 77 trying to stay alive up front the best that they can. And what makes that grouping interesting to talk about of Cedric Hunter, Brian Noel, Douglas Newbigging, our top 3 all from Lucky Duck Motorsports, the teammates. Now, are they going to be able to make a wall to hold back Ryan Kelly, Zach Hall, for that of Nick Crawford? Because we know those drivers are hungry to get up. For Nick Crawford, instead of worrying about being the bubble driver, the 74 tonight, if he gets into victory lane, that win locks him in and makes that bubble spot in the cutoff zone even deeper into the point standings.
Yeah, at one point in this race, Sam, you just talk about how the race has kind of been turned on its head. At one point, the 74 was backed into the outside wall with Ollie Fonseca running, near the front and, actually went and took the lead at one point. So, at that point, things didn't look great for Nick Crawford. And then all of a sudden, here he is in the top 10, and Ollie Fonseca's just been involved in a wreck. So just, it's a great example of just never giving up, Sam. As long as you can keep your car rolling and you got that fight in you, I mean, anything could happen.
And also what makes the point standings even more spicier when you think about what next week's going to look like. Ken Campbell, 11th in points. That's a position ahead of Nick Crawford, who's that bubble driver we've been talking about. Didn't show up today. That is going to make things even closer on the points, going on who will be the cutoff driver heading into Charlotte next week. Now, you don't want to miss it. Next week's going to be a blast to figure out who's making the playoffs for Season 7 of the WSSR. But we first need to figure out who's winning at Dover. Will it be a repeat winner? Could it be someone new? Let's find out. Cedric Hunter and Douglas Newbigging side by side. Douglas in the 7 with the fresher tires as Hill trying to rocket his way to the lead position. The old tires don't even have a chance, but we're already wrecked. The wall of drivers and heavy collisions on the outside. Another caution is out, and Ollie Fonseca's caught up in it again.
And I don't know for sure, Sam, but I believe Douglas Newbigging grabbed the lead right before that caution came out. He timed the restart perfectly, and I think the 7 car is going to be our leader.
Looking at the restart, it was a bad restart for the 01 of Aaron Kralik, and it just cost the rest of the field a panic on where to go and a lot of heavy contact after the fact.
Oh man, I don't know if he missed a shift or
It's just
golly. Oh man, heavy contact.
into Thomas Walter.
Really hard contact from Ollie Fonseca there. So man, just a lot of good nights for some of these guys, just seemingly coming to an end here as we're about to close this thing out.
And looking at the drivers that were able to scave their way through all that incident, John Forbes, he was right in the middle of all that. He was able to scave his way through. Ali Fonseca just caught up in just, usually we talk about how kind of the seas part for drivers. It's certainly the gate closed on Ali Fonseca on that incident. As now it's going to be less than 15 laps to go on this restart. Douglas Newbigging does have the lead, with Cedric Hunter going to be in second, Ryan Kelly third, Nick Crawford going to be in fourth. And for Douglas Newbigging, where will the 7 be? I think back to the last time Douglas Newbigging was in a position to win. We didn't have the live stream for that race, but it was all the way back at North Wilkesboro a few weeks ago. And it was Douglas Newbigging that was in a position to win that race, but picked the wrong restarting lane and lost out on keeping the lead. Could tonight be another scare? Well, him and Cedric Hunter be talking about where do we place ourselves to try to help out the 7 to get into victory lane and be one of those drivers that can stay inside of the points and doesn't have to worry about keeping his point standings heading into next week.
Yeah, and I was a little confused, on the restart there. Cedric Hunter, with the older tires, chose the outside lane, so it makes you wonder if he counted down the restart for his teammate there to have a great launch. But yeah, I mean, the 7 car timed the restart perfectly and was able to get a nose ahead right before that caution came out. And to your point, Sam, I mean, this is really Douglas's race to lose at this point. I mean, he's got the freshest tires, he's got the lead position now. He's got some hungry drivers behind him, and Ryan Kelly, who's battled his way back to 3rd place. Nick Crawford battled back to 4th. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really fun ending to this race.
Well, tonight, a pleasure to be having everyone joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Joshua Altus and Robert Moyer Jr. and Productions in the background, as the cautions have been climbing here tonight. It's aggressive driving, and the reasoning why, it's short track here at Dover. Yes, it's a mile in length, but it really has a lot more short track tendencies. And on top of that, everyone in the field recognizing this is crunch time. If you're wanting to have as many points, as you can heading into Charlotte, you got to make sure you're up front going with the fight. And Douglas Newbigging, a chance to lock himself into the playoffs, no worries heading into Charlotte next week. Now, Douglas is 10th in points, so he is already in a pretty comfortable zone where he wasn't struggling going into Charlotte next week. But he looked at Ryan Kelly, who needs the points. Nick Crawford as well in 4th. This restart on where the 7 decides to place himself and Cedric Hunter is going to be crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. And, going back to Douglas Newbigging, Sam, I think back to earlier in their season when he was up front contending for a win and had some fueling issues and just some different issues he's had throughout the season. We talked to him, and he really thought he was going to be a regular season title contender, and it just hasn't really worked out for the 7 car so far. So this is a great opportunity for him to snag a win here.
As the drivers are stacked up, ready to go. Looks to be for Christopher Norris, going to be getting himself a penalty cleared. Driver still in pit road, getting damage repairs done. James Heater, he's been in pit road for almost an hour trying to get repairs done. Most likely Heater is going to be bounced out as the cutoff driver heading into next week. He will have to most likely go into a must-win scenario heading at Charlotte. And Douglas Newbigging, Cedric Hunter, could we get another different winner this season? We've had a lot this season, a total of 7 different winners coming into tonight. Could we get number 8 with Douglas or Nick Crawford winning? Or could we see a repeat winner with Cedric, our Daytona victor on old tires? Could Ryan Kelly capitalize on that amazing first half of tonight's race? It's time to find out. Pace car into pit road, into the restart zone. Less than 15 laps to go. And we are green with a great launch for our front 2, side by side for 3rd. And Ryan Kelly trying his best to get to the inside of 13. Wasn't able to. He'll stay side by side for 3rd place.
Yeah, great launch by Douglas Newbigging there, and heads up driving by Cedric Hunter to slot into 2nd place. Woo! As we see some drivers jockeying for position going down into turn 3.
Looked like Noah Steele almost brought out another incident, but able to hold on. It's going to be side by side moving forward. Brian Noel get on those older tires. Couldn't hold back Zach Hall, who moves now into 5th place. Second now under fire as Ryan Kelly tries to get to the inside quarter panel. Not able to. Cedric Hunter, old tires defending, helping his teammate. Douglas Newbiggin is pulling away over a half a second ahead of 2nd place.
Yeah, Cedric Hunter just doing what he's got to do and just being just fast enough to hold up these guys behind him. Ryan Kelly doing a really good job of being
Oh
patient,
no! Danny Cochran and others! The big one strikes on the front stretch! Oh, and they're still piling in. Even to the entry of turn 1, it continues on.
And we finally had our big one tonight, Sam. We've talked about just the pockets of issues we've had in multiple instances tonight, and it looks like the big one finally struck tonight at Dover.
And it continues to pile in. Incidences, Brian with an eye, Johnson going to be out of this race. Danny Cochran's internet gave up after being involved with another one, and it's Nolan Hicks gassing it up and getting to the rear end of the 2. And I mean, it's the reversal of what's been happening with Danny all night long. Usually it's been his front bumper, and then at that point his internet just gave up after that contact and just continued to blink. But I mean, Danny usually was the driver who was getting his front end into someone's rear end. That go around, he got the one that got poked in the back.
Yeah, it's just, it's a very popular topic, Sam, that we always talk about, just the way this car is shaped when the bumpers don't line up, and at such a fast track like this, at a crunch time, there's just not a lot of patience, and it's really easy to have issues. So, just a product of hard racing at the end of the day with about 10 laps to go at Dover.
Well, with less than 10 laps to go on this next restart, the pressure is on. Cedric Hunter, old tires, still able to defend incredibly there on that quick little stint we got to see, as there it is, 10 laps to go left in this race under pacing. Douglas Newbiggin, with the way that his teammate is defending, which we look back at the history of Cedric Hunter on all teams that he's ran with. If you look at all the different leagues that he's ran, Cedric's probably one of the best defenders to have as a teammate. I think back to some other leagues that we covered years ago where Cedric is usually the blocker. He's the rear gunner that's trying to block and defend. He certainly is the best one to have if he's got the pace to hold back the drivers behind.
Well, especially with the drivers that he's blocking too, Sam. I mean, Ryan Kelly, as much as you want to go win this race, you don't have to win tonight. He's already got his win. His sole goal is to be inside that top 25 in points. So as much as he wants to win, I mean, I think at the end of the day, he would settle for a strong podium finish and collect his points and get out of here and move on to Charlotte.
And, for Nick Crawford, though, who's going to be most likely restarting on the outside on the next go-around, that's 74. I mean, it's turning into kind of a must-win scenario on he doesn't want to worry about points heading into this next go-around. But luckily, the drivers that he had to worry about are having bad days. Ali Fonseca, his race is kind of falling apart. James Heater is going to finish last tonight, which is going to be giving a little bit more of a boost. And with Ken Campbell in front of the 74 missing out on tonight's race, it looks to be the 74 just aiming for that good race and good points day as well when you look at the scenario as a whole on where drivers are placed.
Oh, it's going to be so fun next week, Sam, talking about, just who's leading and how the playoff picture might change and just how close everyone is on points. I mean, those cutoff races are so fun, and I think next week is going to be no different at Charlotte, where, by the way, I'm sure a lot of guys are feeling really confident going to Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte's one of the most popular racetracks on iRacing. It's a free track that most drivers start out on, so I know it's the headquarters of NASCAR in Charlotte, but I feel like a lot of drivers will kind of feel like that's a home track for them as well, just with how comfortable most people are at Charlotte. So I think it's going to be an awesome track to have a closeout race for the regular season.
It certainly is. And then in 2 weeks to start the playoffs off, the drivers head to Talladega, the wild card race to start the playoffs. 16 drivers make the playoffs, and only 12 will move on after that first round, which it's Talladega and Auto Club, the 2 races for the first round of the playoffs starting in 3 weeks. It's going to be a good one. Can't wait for it. In 2 weeks is when it's going to start up, as next week is Charlotte, then Talladega, and Douglas Newbiggin hoping that he can join the win column. We think back to the beginning of the season, those first 5 races, Douglas was up front a lot. He just wasn't able to capitalize with the amount of new winners that we were having. And I think back to Rockingham, where he got the pole, wasn't able to get the win. It was Shane Terrian who was on rails that night. And since, I would say, Bristol, it's been kind of a slip and climb and trying to find where you can find grip and your own standing point. And a win certainly would help you to find that momentum heading in the playoffs just a few weeks away. We're stacked, we're ready to go. Douglas Newbigging, Cedric Hunter, Nick Crawford, Ryan Kelly, Brian Noel going to be your top 5. Noel, and also Cedric Hunter. Those are the 2 drivers that have old tires compared to everyone else that are on very similar stints. Drivers with the freshest of rubber are going to be all the way back in 15th and 14th position. How well can they run forward? Let's find out. As the pace car pulls into pit road, it's race number 10 of the season for season 7 of the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series into the restart zone, and Dover is back underway. The 7 gets a great launch. Same for the 13. It's side by side for 3rd position. Kelly needs to make this pass quick, efficient, but they're wrecking it behind. Once again, a bad restart. It's Kyle Rochelle, Brad Delph, Danny Cochran, and we have another yellow flag. We are going to be inside of a regulation green-white checkered for this next restart, I believe, or we're just going to be on the cusp of overtime.
Yeah, just guys being impatient. We've seen the restarts tonight, Sam. Just it's been a lot of calamity here tonight, and you know, getting toward the end of the race here. Everyone's trying to kind of grab one last spot, and yeah, just tough nights for a lot of these guys. But man, if I'm Douglas Newbigging, I mean, you got to go through another restart, but it's nice to click off a couple more laps.
It certainly does. More laps that you don't have to worry about. You've seen that if we do get into an overtime green and white checkered situation, you're in a winning spot. I mean, no one can get that restart that you're aiming for to get by Cedric and then fight you. I think this is all in the hands of Douglas Newbigging, as long as he doesn't wheel spin and throw the race away himself.
Yeah, and I think if you're Ryan Kelly, Ryan's got to do a little bit better job of trying to anticipate some of these restarts. And I'm sure that the 7 and the 13 with Cedric Hunter are working together on these restarts and probably counting down the restarts together, possibly in their team Discord. But if you're the 3 car, I mean, you've got to try to anticipate when the 7's launching to get right on his bumper and try your absolute best to be on his bumper heading into turn 1 and 2 so that you can, you know, have a chance at him and try to clear that 13 car and give yourself a shot.
Looking at the restart incident that brought out our most recent yellow, looked to be Kyle Rochelle was the driver that got a bad wheel spin into the outside wall. Danny Cochran, nowhere to go, finds himself running into the 99. And then the 6 of Brad Delph runs into Danny Cochran, and they went spinning, bring out this most recent caution. And, you know, something we didn't really talk about because I kind of missed it on the last yellow. Shane Terrian is back on the lead lap in 19th position. I thought he was still 1 lap down, and he actually got a little bit of a glimpse and a tap on that last, what brought out our most recent yellow. Well, he's in 19th position. He could gain back the spots and minimize the amount of points lost for the regular season championship with Larry Yingling.
That's pretty incredible, Sam. I mean, I think Shane was 5 laps down at one point, and I think if I remember correctly, he was all the way back in 28th position, and it looked like it was going to be a massive point swing tonight. So, yeah, I mean, if he can minimize his damage and have a solid run next week, I mean, that's, you know, you talk about, you know, the races and the championship, Sam, are a lot of times won in the bad weeks, right? And minimizing the damage. And I think that's a perfect example of what Shane's done tonight. He hasn't had, you know, the race winning car necessarily after some of his issues, but to battle back and go from 28th, 5 laps down to 19th on the lead lap and could possibly get 1 or 2 more spots before the end of this thing. I mean, that's a championship effort.
It certainly is. Also going to have the freshest of tires of anyone on track. Back in 19th, everyone in front of them are on 13. Most of them are on 23 lap old tires. But the cautions have come out so quickly, really can't look at that number and say, yeah, they ran green on all those. They may have been green for about 3 laps since they came in and got those tires for themselves. As We're waiting for confirmation. If we do not swing into overtime once they cross the line here and the lights turn off, we will head, if the lights don't turn off when they cross the line here, we are heading, we're going to finish this, if they don't, excuse me, I'm tripping myself up. If the lights do not turn off when they cross the line here, we are heading into overtime. But if the lights click off, we are in a green-white checkered scenario under under our 150 lap situation that we find ourselves. And look at the lights. It looks like we are going to stay inside of regulation. We're not in overtime just yet, but it's going to be a green-white checkered. If we get a caution before the white flag, this race is heading into overtime. And it's going to be a quick swing around. If we get the white flag, this race is official. It's all about who crosses the line first. Any final thoughts before we head into this potential final restart here, Josh?
I mean, it's been a wild race, Sam, and kind of conclusion is just really never give up. I mean, I think Chanterian's a perfect example of that, and some other guys that have been involved in incidents. I mean, it's never over to the checker flag falls. So, the pit strategy is put the 13 and the 7 in really good spots here. Great battling by Ryan Kelly, and we'll see if we can finish in regulation or if we got to go to overtime.
Here we go. We are inside of regulation, green, white, checkered. If we get a yellow flag under this first lap, we head into overtime. If we get the white flag, we race it to whoever crosses the line first. As we enter the restart zone, race number 10. Restart is a go. The teammates take off immediately together, and it's going to be finding Douglas Newbigging up front for now. Cedric Hunter backs up, gets in line, and now it's blocked defend and let the 7 pull away as he exits at turn number 2.
Oh, perfect executed restart by the teammates. And now we have trouble.
It's Nick Crawford who didn't need to be spun out, and the yellow flag is out. We're heading to overtime. More drivers piling after the fact. Oh, Ryan Kelly in a huge collision into the barrels.
Oh my goodness, Sam, exactly what Ryan Kelly did not need to happen. He was running third, battling hard with Nick Crawford, and his night looks to be over, Sam.
And a massive it would look to be simple tap of drivers popping back and forth here. Watch out for the 77 and the 3 clipped, spun, and away they go for both drivers as Kelly goes down, clicks into others, and I mean, he saved Isaiah Sutherland and Chris Stitz, but gave himself the ultimate destruction. Engine blown, Kelly's night's done, and Nick Crawford falls all the way down to 15th position. Ollie Fonseca's now in front of the 74, and as right on board with the 3, just see the contact sends them up. It's self-cleaning all the way down, and away they go. Hi, Larry Yingling. Have fun with your slide. And he continues to fall down. Isaiah Sutherland's going to hit the barrels. No, I'll save you. Go that way, 14, as the 3 smashes into the barrels.
That is just, oh man, I know I said I felt heartbreak for Ollie Fonseca. That is the heartbreak of the night, Sam. The 3 car utterly dominated the beginning stage of this race. Had a penalty, or not a penalty, but just had issues on pit road, which made him fall back through the field, and was doing a great job picking his way back through. Looked like he was going to have a really solid 3rd or 4th place run, and then just all comes to a screeching halt.
Well, we, ladies and gentlemen, have officially entered overtime. Tonight's overtime, we have a total of 3 if needed. We are currently on our first. We'll see how many drivers want to utilize all 3, or can we just get this race done and dusted? Ryan Kelly has officially left the server. He is most likely looking at the drivers that are still running. Looks the lowest he could fall is where he's at right now. If we go green in the next couple of laps, the furthest he could fall if we use all of our green-white checkers would be all the way down to 26th position would be the spot for the 3 machine, as the field is being told by admins, hey, let's calm down. Let's try to get this race finished out if possible. And drivers are just hoping, let's get the best finish we can. So let's get a little bit racy for ourselves. You know, you talked about how Ryan Kelly, Josh, a huge heartbreak for himself. I think Nick Crawford, on the other hand, also a major heartbreak because he was looking to be gaining a lot of points and just not having to have any worries heading into Charlotte. Now with him being right next to Ollie Fonseca, the gap's still going to be pretty close to one another if they finish where they're at now.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right, Sam. All it's done is completely tighten up the playoff race as we, kind of have this crescendo to Charlotte next week. And I mean, oh my goodness, you talk about the storylines going into Charlotte. I mean, it looked like Ryan Kelly was poised to, possibly jump inside the top 25 tonight. I mean, Nick Crawford was poised to gain a ton of points on Ollie Fonseca after his night. And, man, all that has just gone up in the air the last restart really here. And, man, it's talk about shaking up the playoff picture. I mean, it could really open the door for possibly some guys who really didn't think they'd have a chance to get in, and others who felt really confident about it, Sam. I mean, it could put them in a pretty dire situation next week.
It really could. And as we look at, last week's race at Sonoma, the potential of having teammates finishing 1, 2, 3, 4, well, tonight it's now up to potentially a 1, 2, 3 like it was last week. It was seeing the drivers from Snowy Desert Racing as Zach Hall, Christopher Norris, and Benjamin Nelson finishing 1, 2, 3 last week. Well, here tonight could be the Lucky Ducks, Douglas Newbigin, Cedric Hunter, and Brian Noel. Noel as well as Cedric Hunter on some of the oldest tires of anyone on track, but still in the top 3. Is that where they're going to stay as we are getting ourselves prepared? Again, overtime. This is our first of 3 if needed. We can't have all 3 if we bring out another yellow, but this is the rundown. If we go green, it's a green-white checkered, only 2 laps. If we get a yellow on that first lap, this race will go into our second attempt at overtime. But if we get the white flag, this race becomes official, and it's all about who crosses the line first to win tonight's race. Drivers have also been warned, if you arc a brake after the white flag's thrown, big penalties could be thrown out. So even on that white flag, you got to play nice. Let's find out who is going to win here at Dover. Pace car is into the restart zone. The teammates take off. Noel tries to get ahead of Zach Hall, but the wheel spin was too strong. They're side by side for third, and they're already wrecking, and it's another big one, but we are going to be having ourselves another yellow flag. Attempt number 2 is needed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, Sam, that this race has just kind of turned into a demolition derby, to just put it nicely, late stages here. And it's unfortunate because it's a really fun track, Sam, and it's just tough to see, but, like you said, everyone's got their own agendas, right? I mean, I think about, oh my goodness, Shane Terrian is sitting here in 8th place, Sam. I mean, he was 5 laps down, 40 laps ago, and he's sitting here solidly inside the top 10 now. So, it's tough to see, but at the same time, I understand it, because from a driver perspective, you're just trying to get everything you can get, especially as we head into our cutoff race next week.
And the driver is heavily involved with this one. Thomas Walter getting into the outside wall, forcing Kaufman to go 3 wide before they crossed the line. And when Kaufman came down and turned the 6, who then got caught up with other drivers right into the 6, and the yellow had to be thrown, forcing us into our second attempt at overtime. Douglas Newbigin going to be the front runner at this current moment. And with us, it's kind of simple on what the situation is. Douglas Newbigin wanting to get a win. His teammates are going to defend the best that they can. Can they hold off the hard charging of Shane Terrian and Danny Cochran, who's in 10th place? If we have a wreck up front that wipes out the majority of the front runners, those 2 could be sneaky quick, but with the green-white checkered at Dover, it's really rough to make passes. I wonder how these drivers are going to be able to handle it on this next restart, because it looks like it's just hard to get in, even into turn number 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point, and I guess the benefit for our front runners, like you said, Sam, they're all 3 are teammates. So, if these guys play it right, all 3 of them are going to have a really solid night with, Douglas Newbigin possibly going to victory lane here. But as we look a little further down the leaderboard, Sam, I mean, I just can't help but laugh. Ross Tatum was involved in one of our very first accidents of the night, where he slapped the outside wall really hard and had to come to pit road, spend a long time fixing damage. He's up to 6th place. John Forbes another front runner earlier tonight has been involved in several incidents. He's back up to 5th place. Shane Tyrion, we already just noted, was 5 laps down, all the way down in 28th, and is up to 8th place, and he's actually ahead of Larry Yingling now, Sam. So we were talking about, the points lead potentially dwindling down to almost nothing. He's set to, he could possibly gain points now tonight. So it's just absolutely incredible how much this race has been turned on its head.
It certainly has. And as well, you look at some of the other drivers aiming for their best finishes of the season. Mason Cassidy qualified well today. Didn't get the start of the race that he wanted, but one of his best qualifying runs was at North Wilkesboro, and he got his best finish at 17th. He got another second place qualifying, and he'll find himself now in 7th. And his best finish was 17th, now to 7th. Behind him, James Kaufman. His best finish this season was 21st position twice. Sonoma last week and Darlington, he might get his first top 10 finish of the season as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's opened up a lot of opportunity, and I know it can be, frustrating for viewers to just see caution after caution after caution. But from a driver's standpoint, again, Sam, we just talked about all these guys, they all have different agendas, and if there's a possibility where they can move forward a position or two, I mean, you better believe they're gonna do everything in their power to try to gain an extra spot or two. I mean, it's just the competitive juices of all these guys. It's easy to sit back and relax, and from a viewer standpoint, just to be like, guys, everyone just chill out, let's get to the end of this thing. But when you're in the car, man, you're trying to get absolutely everything you can get.
Well, again, this is our second attempt at overtime. We have a third attempt if needed, as we've been trying to get this race finished out. It's the teammates of Lucky Duck Motorsports, of Douglas Newbigging, Cedric Hunter, and Brian Noel going to be your top 3. Zach Hull's going to be in 4th on the outside. John Forbes in 5th. Ross Tatum 6th. Mason Cassidy 7th. Shane Darian 8th. 9th is James Kaufman, and Danny Cochran, who's been involved probably with the most incidents all night, is going to be in 10th. Trying to get a top 10. Ollie Fonseca with the recovery run. He's also being tagged along with Nick Crawford in 11th and 12th. So many different storylines with a rough night like tonight, but it's looking to be Douglas Newbigging. Fresh tires up front over his teammates of Cedric Hunter and Brian Noel. Can the 7, with this wall of teammates, get into victory lane for the first time this season and be the 8th different winner under 10 races? The only driver with multiple wins this season being Brian Noel deep in the field. Well, up front, Douglas Newbigging in the catbird seat, hoping that he's going to find himself into victory lane, into the restart zone. Overtime attempt number 2 underway as Cedric Hunter gets another great run, but he's going to be right on the quarter panel, falling now in line. Zach Hall stuck on the outside groove. He needs to get a better run over Noel as well. This field hoping to see the white flag. They're dashing back and forth. The green flag is still out as the battle for second gets heated. Douglas Newbigging next to the turn 4. He's happy to see it up in the air. It's your white flag. Roasted Gems white flag given to the 7th.
White flag is in the air. That means we're going to race back to the line here, Sam. And Douglas Newbigging, as he hits the back stretch, he's got a wall of teammates behind him to play defense as he runs off into turn 3 and 4.
Runs down into 3 and 4, and what a charge for the 7. Fought, climbed, and will be the 8th different winner this season. Is the 7 of Douglas Newbigging here at Dover.
What an absolutely incredible drive by Douglas Newbigging. He rolled the dice, Sam. We talked about it. Why not try a different strategy to try to get up front? He rolled the dice, caught a caution, was able to get back on sync with the leaders with tires, and he drove his way to the front and got it done tonight.
And Mason Cassidy, James Kaufman, both getting their first top 10 finishes of the season. Congratulations to the both of them. But up front, for the second week in a row, it's teammates taking 1, 2, 3. Last week it was Snowy Desert Racing. Tonight, it's the Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers running their Roasted Gems coffee machines. Gonna be up front enjoying the victory as Douglas Newbigging. Congratulations on your win. We will talk to our top 3. The 7 of Douglas Newbigging, second place of Cedric Hunter, Brian Noel, and a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show. A new winner striking for season 7 and into the history books of the WSSR, and another week of teammates finishing 1, 2, 3. It's Douglas Newbigging finding himself into victory lane. Let's talk to the 7 and how he's feeling after the win in one of the biggest movers of the night. Douglas Newbigging with us. Douglas, congratulations on your win. Congratulations on the teammates finishing 1, 2, 3. How are you feeling after that performance here tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good, honestly. This was like the track I didn't expect to get a win on. I'm gonna be honest. I thought like a bunch of like races earlier this season, I was guaranteed for a win, but it was fell through in this race. I was like, didn't really have the long run speed. I felt like, but short, medium speed was good, and strategy calls finally played out right. So I'll take it.
Yeah, Douglas, congrats, man, on grabbing a win tonight. You talked about strategy calls. I mean, take us through what you were thinking. I mean, it looked like the strategy call to win the night for you was when you stayed out on those 20 lap old tires and were able to stay out long enough to cycle all the leaders and kind of force everyone back to pit road. So just kind of walk us through your mindset on that. And did you think it would put you in position to win, or were you just hoping to maybe kind of salvage a top 5, top 10 out of it?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew going in I was gonna be able to get like at least a top 5 out of it still because early on in this race, I think the first caution we had, I pitted for tires, so I thought that I could probably save a little bit of fuel and make it to the end. And there was about 13 tire lap difference, and I was kind of moving through the field here and there, but on like especially restarts, I couldn't do anything. So I kind of learned there, and then later on in the race, I tried another strategy, and that didn't really work out that well. And then I kind of knew going into this caution, like, okay, I'm down a set of tires already compared to everyone else. Let me just save a set here. I know I shouldn't lose too many spots, if any. And then once I saw 3 other cars stay out with me, I mean, I knew I was locked in basically from there.
Well, I mean, Douglas, you got the win. The teammates helped you on that. The playoffs just 2 weeks away. What is your mentality? Are you just going to skip over Charlotte next week, or are you prepared to try to tackle for another win next week?
Yeah, no, I mean, Charlotte is definitely one of my better tracks with these cars. And yeah, Charlotte. I mean, yeah, Charlotte's a really good track for me. I'm really pretty decent long run there, speed. Feels like I always feel like I get good car there. And then definitely gonna race though. I mean, I know get some playoff points maybe, whatnot. So like I said, it's a good track there too. And then just get ready for the playoffs. I'm carrying good momentum here, and then why not bring it into the playoffs? That's the way I look at it. So
That sounds like a great mentality to have. Congratulations on your win, Douglas. And now the floor is yours for any shout outs.
yeah, man. We got. Let me tell you here. You guys know it. I mean, it's all over the place in this league. But Roasted Gems Coffee. Let me tell you, best coffee in the planet. I'm pretty sure WSSR they got a code, but Lucky Ducks we also got a code. Just Lucky Ducks, one word, 15% off. It's cool. It's good. It's epic. Awesome. Best coffee universe. Simrap Market for getting me this awesome scheme that you're seeing right here, and most of my teammates do. They're running Simrap Market stuff. We have an affiliate for that. If you go to our team socials, I'm pretty sure it's on there. And then obviously Lucky Mook Motorsports. Huge shout out to all those guys, all my teammates, helping me out there. RS Button Boxes, No Kid Hungry Charity. Yeah, all those guys that help out, and yeah, on to next week. So.
Well, we
Really
can't
got
wait
more to say.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you're going to perform next week, Douglas. Congratulations on being the 8th different winner this season, and good luck next week at Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you, man. Hope to be back up here.
We hope so as well. That's going to be your winner here tonight, the 7 of Douglas Newbigging. And then we fall to second place is find ourselves with the 13 of Cedric Hunter on some of the oldest lap of tires throughout the last portion of that race. Cedric, how did you hold off the rest of the field? Because those tires look to be, they should have been giving up at the point of those last couple of restarts.
Yeah. Obviously from an admin side, I'm not very happy with kind of the finish there. Having a bunch of cautions go back to back, but as a driver, I'm super happy because when I stayed out there, I thought like for sure I was a goner. Honestly, if it would have went green, I would have probably dropped to like near 10th or so, I would imagine. So yeah, I mean, realistically, the cautions coming out basically every half a lap for the last 25 laps of that race is pretty much the only reason why I stayed in second. So thankfully I had Doug, my teammate, to kind of help me out on the restarts and count me down and stuff like that, and kind of mixing up mixing it up in the restart zones, every restart, kind of keeping everybody behind us guessing. So that helped out. The one time we were really under fire was probably with Ryan Kelly and Nick, and I kind of self-cleared myself on Ryan Kelly's nose, and that was obviously super sketch with this car and how easy it is to just kind of dump somebody. So I had to apologize to him. Obviously, you know, I had to do whatever I had to keep the position. I just know that with 10, 15 laps to go, I mean, he has less and less of a reason to check up for me with every given lap. So, you know, it was unfortunate that he got caught up in a wreck, and so did Nick, because they were both really quick. I know Nick is really good at this track, and somebody you consistently see pretty much in the top 5 or even winning at Dover. So he had a super good run. I know his car was really damaged, but you know, it was unfortunate what happened to him.
Yeah, Cedric, congrats, man, on a really strong runner-up finish tonight, and not only yourself, but a huge, you know, 1, 2, 3 finish for all you and all your teammates. I guess my question is for you. You know, it looked like the staying out was the strategy there toward the end. You know, we saw your teammate do it prior to you guys doing it. Did he staying out, you know, before you guys do it, kind of play a role in your decision to stay out there?
Yeah, I mean, he stayed out because he took an extra set of tires when the rest of us didn't at the beginning of the race. So he's kind of saving that extra set just in case he needed it for later on in the race. And well, even though there was, I think it was like 6 or 7 guys, maybe even less, that stayed out, it was somewhere around there. It took us a while. Like, I think it was nearly 10 laps just to even get to Doug. So the old tires kind of hung on a little bit, and then when I saw him going down pit road, I kind of figured, since he's the leader and going down pit road, most of the field was probably going to stay out. And boy, was I wrong. I think we were only like 3 guys, and then Stitz also ended up pitting kind of the caution or 2 cautions later. So other than having Noel out there with me on the older tires, I mean, it was pretty much just the 2 of us. So we did everything we could to hang on. Like I said, if it went green, there's no way I would have finished second. So it's unfortunate that we had all those cautions, but I'm kind of happy for it at the same time.
An incredible finish there at the end for yourself, Cedric, coming away second. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours.
I appreciate it, man. I want to give a huge shout out to you guys as always. I want to give a shout out to the fans out there for tuning in, even after the kind of roughish race that we had, especially the finish. For the most part, like the racing was actually really good. We had a kind of longer run near the early to middle of the race. I felt really good. I think Zach and I were probably the 2 fastest on the long run, and you know, it would have been an interesting race if it would have went green. So you know, shout out to Zach for being quick as always. Huge shout out to my Lucky Ducks team. Like you said, we finished 1, 2, 3. Doug and I kind of had an uneventful race other than just racing. Brian had a pretty eventful race, to say the least. So, unfortunately, Cogswell just got caught up, I think, in a couple of wrecks, or at least an A wreck, and finished back there. So, strong showing. Hopefully, next time we can get you know, maybe all 4 cars in the top 5 or top 10, and we'll go from there. You know, shout out obviously to Roasted Gems Coffee, the best coffee on the market. If you haven't tried it, I strongly recommend it. You can go check out their website, and as well, shout out to Trophy Smack for also hopping on board here as a sponsor for the season. You know, we appreciate all their help for both sponsors. We've had them for a few seasons, and they've been great.
Well, that is going to be the 13 machine in the pink Hello Kitty. It's Cedric Hunter getting a 2nd place finish. Congratulations on that, Cedric, and good luck next week at Charlotte.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Well, from 2nd place, let's head down to 3rd, where we talk to our last Lucky Duck driver, being Brian Noel. Brian, congratulations on 3rd. It was a rocky race here today for yourself when it first started out. You come away third place, yourself and Cedric on some of the oldest tires of anyone out on track. How are you feeling after that performance there late?
Oh yeah, it's a kind of a whirlwind of emotions right now. We had a decent run to start out the race, and then we just got caught up in the back and got caught up in a wreck. And then I just want to apologize to Ryan and Nick. I didn't mean to get into you guys right at the end of the race. I was just trying to shoot to the high side, and I think I just clipped the right rear, so that's on me. So, but yeah, the old tires definitely were not fun right at the end. I mean, they would last 2 laps, and then uh, that was about it. So.
Yeah, Brian, congrats, man, on a strong podium finish for yourself tonight, as well as 1, 2, 3 for you and all your teammates. It's an awesome run. Did you have any idea that the older tires would hold up to get you a podium finish at all, or what was kind of your thoughts staying out there?
Mean, when I decided to stay out, I just knew I had to try something different. I think I was like 20th or 18th, and I was like, okay, I'll just stay out. I think the tires will last for a short run, like 5 laps, and then they'll just start to go compared to people that have the new tires. So I just knew that if I had pitted, I most likely would have gotten involved in some of those wrecks that kind of plagued the last part of the race. So I just kind of wanted to try and steer clear of that as much as I could.
Oh, you certainly did that at the end. 1, 2, 3 finish. Congratulations, Brian. We're heading to Charlotte next week. You look pretty solidified on points, so you don't have to worry about it into Charlotte to make the playoffs. But what is the confidence level on what you've learned throughout this season to set up for a playoff run in 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was definitely, it's been a slow burn. It's been feeling like it's 1 step forward, 3 steps backwards after some races. I mean, Sonoma, I didn't really get a chance to prove myself. I kind of got stuck on the first lap, so that was kind of a wash. But yeah, I feel like I've been slowly improving, understanding the car and how the tires wear, which is the biggest thing with this Gen 4 car. So I think Charlotte should be kind of similar to Atlanta, probably a little bit smoother of a surface. So I think tire wear will be a little less of a factor there, but it'll still be significant. So I'm eager to get started working on that.
Oh, we cannot wait to see how you're going to perform once the playoffs begin and going into next week. But before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Roasted Gems Coffee, and I'd like to thank Lucky Ducks Motorsports, and I'd like to thank my girlfriend Gabby for always being there, being supportive of me, even when I have a bad race. And there's probably other people I should be thanking, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. So sorry, everyone. But yeah, I'll be hoping to come back out stronger again in Charlotte. So
Well, we cannot wait to see how you perform at Charlotte. Congratulations on a top 3 finish in your first top 5 of the season, and good luck next week at Charlotte.
thank you.
That's third place finisher, going to be the 77 of Brian Noel. And now we fall all the way down to 10th place. Talked to a driver who's grabbing his first top 10 of the season, his 4th career top 10 as well. We got ourselves with James Kaufman. James, congratulations on a finish that looked like it was more of a survival for drivers in the back half of the field. How are you feeling with your first top 10 of the season?
I was just trying to stay alive the whole time because these guys are all about a head and shoulders above me. Everybody's, I'm one of the lower I rating guys, and I just try to stay out of trouble and don't want to screw anybody up and try to learn something. And I got faster toward the end, so, but it was, mostly just trying to stay out of trouble and just luck. If it would have ended on a long run, I probably would have been fading, but it worked out good for me.
Yeah, James, you talked about just trying to survive. I mean, I think that was, if not the most hectic one, definitely one of the most hectic races of the season tonight. I mean, just kind of walk us through your night in general, just kind of driving through all the reds and just trying to kind of position yourself to get this top 10 finish.
Yeah, I knocked both corners off fairly early in the first part of the race. I spent the first couple cautions just trying to get some damage fixed.
And I finished. I still had 2 sets of tires in the pits. I just was taking it easy in the back and basically just trying to move up as guys dropped out. And a couple times I think the farthest up I had to restart like at 14th or something, but give it 10 laps and I'd be back in the 20s again. So it was. These guys are not afraid to throw it down in there, and I was like, I don't want to be in the way. So I just tried to stay out of the way, and it worked toward the end. Of course, got down to the green, white checkers, and you can't just stay out of the way. So.
And sadly, that's not the case. But James, still an incredible run here tonight. Like I said, at first top 10 of the season. What else are you trying to hope to gain or learn for the rest of this season for yourself?
Just trying to learn these cars, and I mean, these guys are. I spend a lot of time, riding in the cars with the guys when they're running and seeing what they're doing, and you can't pick a lot up, but you can at least pick up some lines and see what their car sounds like, and then I just kind of go try to do that, and try not to get over my head. I was when I first started in this league here, I was a problem, I think. And I'm trying to not be a problem. I don't want to be the one that's causing anybody a wreck or anything. So that's my biggest thing. Just try to stay clean.
Well, we're hoping that these great finishes continue on. Congratulations on this 10th place finish, and good luck with the rest of the season. But before we officially let you go, if you have anyone that you want to shout out, the floor is now yours.
Pretty much the guys running the league. You guys for putting on these broadcasts. At the Roasted Gems Coffee, that stuff's great. And Trophies Mac glad they're on this year. It's everybody that watches this, people tune in and watch this thing. That's great. That helps everybody all along. So you guys do a good job. So
well, thank you very much. Well, James, it was great to see you running up front. Congratulations on a good finish, and good luck heading into Charlotte next week.
Yep, thank you very much.
Well, that's going to be James Kaufman being the conclusion of our interviews here for the post-race show as we get ourselves prepared to look at the unofficial results here tonight. Certainly a lot of ups and downs, and the storylines might carry forward into next week because some drivers going to be upset after this one, but the 3 that are not mad are the ones that are up front in a very comfortable position, as it's Douglas Newbigging from Lucky Duck Motorsports going to be taking the top award for himself. Cedric Hunter, also part of Lucky Ducks, going to take second, and the final one up in the top 3 going to be Brian Noel in the 77. Zach Hall gets 4th. John Forbes 5th, a great recovery run for himself after being caught up in a blade incident. But the most incredible rebound, Shane Terrian was 5 laps down after losing his internet, was able to reconnect, get back out on track, and finish 6th at the end of the day. I mean, what a great run for this 9 machine, and able to minimize and actually expand out his lead for the point standings going into Charlotte next week. Crazy to see. Mason Cassidy also having one of his best finishes of the season. Danny Cochran had the most incident points out of anyone here tonight, but still gets a top 10 for the 2. And James Kaufman, a great recovery for himself. Usually a driver deeper in the field, but gets his first top 10 of the season.
Yeah, I mean, just an absolute yo-yo of a night, Sam, for so many of these drivers. And as we look a little outside the top 10 here, Larry Yingling, we thought he'd be in prime position to really slice into that points lead, and it ends up kind of backfiring, and Shane Tierran's going to actually expand his points lead as we head into Charlotte. So Brian P. Johnson, another driver that got caught up into several incidents tonight, ends up bringing it home 12th. If we look at 14th and 15th, Sam, the 2 bubble drivers that were battling tonight, at one point we saw Ollie Fonseca running up front and Nick Crawford having trouble, and then it flip-flopped and Nick Crawford was up front and Ollie Fonseca was in trouble, and now they end up finishing kind of mid-pat together in 14th and 15th. As we scroll down a little further, Isaiah Sutherland, another driver that was just carnage surrounded him all night, still manages to bring it home 19th. And then a little bit further down, probably the story of the night, Sam, is Ryan Kelly finishing 26th place tonight. He dominated. He had the pole early on in the race, had a pit road mishap and lost some track position, was able to battle back and was running 3rd late in the race there, gets caught up in a late incident and absolutely just kills his night. He's going to have a steep hill to climb if he wants to try to make the playoffs.
Certainly is. Points have already been updated for the drivers, and the cutoff spot for who's going to be in the top 16, it is crazy to look at. Because of James Heater finishing in 30th, Ken Campbell not showing up, Ken Campbell now is bounced out of our top 16. Same for James Heater, and that for the drivers in 14th to 16th are tied currently. Ken Campbell, if he shows up, he's got a 9-point buffer to try to clock himself into the top 16. And for Danny Cochran, he is 10 points out from hoping to get into the top 16 and have a chance to run for a championship. The last big note, Ryan Kelly, 30th in points. He actually lost the position because he finished so deep in the field late. That 3 machine, if he shows up next week, is most likely going to have to win and bank on some luck to get inside of our top 25 in points. It's going to be a crazy one. And Josh, next week, the calculators are going to have to come out, but it's really going to come down to, like what we saw here tonight, who can survive and be there late.
Yeah, absolutely, Sam. I mean, tonight was all about survival. I mean, James Kaufman said it perfectly in his interview. He just tried to ride around and survive and let all those guys wreck, and he ended up finishing 10th. So, you know, next week at Charlotte, a little bit more of a traditional 1.5 mile track. Don't necessarily anticipate seeing quite as much carnage as we did tonight, but with it being a cutoff race, Sam, I mean, drivers are going to be giving it all they got, and there's going to be so many different storylines going into next week. And yes, we will for sure have our calculators out and try to update the viewers as much as possible, live timing and scoring and points, and it's going to be a blast, man. This series is so much fun to cover, and I think it'll be an awesome show next week at Charlotte.
I cannot wait for it. And finally, before we do our usual conclusions, one last shout out to the incredible sponsors that help out here at the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. It was a long night for the drivers and for ourselves, but we have to give a huge thank you to Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee, one of the best coffee brands you can go out and get. Is if you'd like to go get the premium coffee to start your day off right, remember to go to roastedgemscoffee.com and use the promo code WSSR when looking at their wide selection of coffee brands, as well as their merchandise they have that you can purchase. And lastly, of one of the major sponsors, that being Trophy Smack. Trophy Smack, the ultimate destination if you want to show off a custom trophy, if that's being a championship belt, ring, trophy, or a wall smack. Wall smack is one of the newer products that Trophy Smack has gotten. And really tonight, there are a lot of wrecks that we used to be calling the wall smack wreck of the race. There were so many to choose from. You as the audience might have to comment down below once this stream is over on which wreck should have been the wall smack wreck of the race. And for wall smack, what is it? Well, it's a high gloss metal plate that can easily be placed on the wall with their wall safe magnet mounting system. You customize it completely for you. Pick an image. It could be one of the cars. It could be a random photo. It's up to you to go to trophysmack.com. Go get your wall smack. And when purchasing, remember to use the promo code WSSRSMACK for 10% off. That code also works for any of their other great products that you can grab today. And last one, again, didn't shout it out when we were doing the qualifying results, but I also want to give a huge thanks to Brandon Colley's mom for being the qualifying results sponsor, who's always hoping for Colley to have a great qualifying start to the race. Didn't have the finish that he was hoping for, and maybe next week can change. Josh, any final thoughts tonight or thoughts of going into Charlotte next week?
Man, I mean, how much time do we have? I don't know where to start, Sam, but no, I mean, just absolutely chaotic race tonight. I mean, just attrition, survival, perseverance are some of the words that come to mind. I mean, and that's what's just so awesome about racing, Sam. At the end of the day, I mean, you can have the fastest car and not win the race. You can have not the fastest car and end up winning the race. And I think the key of the night was those guys staying out on 20 lap older tires. We're able to kind of play the track position game and catch a bunch of cautions late, and we're able to kind of maintain their track position, and it ended up working out best for Douglas Newbigging. He had his teammates there to kind of block with him, serve as a layer of protection, and man, I mean, just an exciting race overall. And And what better way to tee it up than to go into Charlotte next week, where we're gonna have so many different storylines and points battles and must-win drivers. I mean, it's if you're not tuning in, I mean, you got to tune in next week to see how it's all gonna shake out. So just a fun race.
And if you'd like to tune in, the easiest way to be notified when we're live is going to be finding yourself by subscribing to our YouTube channel and hitting that bell notification button. The notification button notifies you when we're live or a new upload from us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting hits. And as well, big way to help support the drivers and support us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting is by liking, sharing the videos, and also commenting down below, like what you thought our Trophy Smack wreck of the race should be. And as well, it just helps overall with all the leagues that we cover on where the bigger we become, helps the leagues and finding new drivers, new sponsors, and overall helps the ecosystem here on iRacing. Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. If you'd like to see even more great racing action on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, luckily for you, we're going to be finding ourselves tomorrow. It's the Stars and Stripes as they head to Twin Ring Motegi, cross the borders, cross the ocean, and find yourself in Japan as Twin Ring Motegi taking their chances on how the Gen 4 is going to react to a track that only the 80s back in NASCAR got to run. We'll see how those drivers going to handle for themselves. Then we take the weekend off, and if you want drama like you saw here tonight, well, it begins Monday night. The ISRC Truck Series find themselves with the playoffs as they're going to be tackling Talladega to be the first race of the first round. The drama's going to heat up. Who's going to be upset? Who's going to be locked in the next round? You'll have to find out on Monday. The Full Send Racing Series, they're closing in closer and closer to their regular season finale. They're going to be in Xfinity cars on Tuesday night. Then we're right back here next week. Charlotte, the drama, the action. Josh, we just keep on talking about it.
Yep, it's gonna be fun, Sam, and don't go anywhere because Freaky Fast is the place to watch all these incredible leads. I'm excited to take on Motegi tomorrow. I've never run a lap there, so we're gonna see how it goes. But yeah, a lot of fun leagues, and yeah, don't want to miss anything.
Good luck. It's Japan's chance of figuring out what it's like to take Darlington and their own imagination of that track to Japan. Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining with us this evening as the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series Season 7, race number 10 is in the books, and the winner goes to the 7 of Douglas Newbigging, becoming the 8th different winner of this season. Incredible stat line. Talk about the competition. It continues to rise over and over again, and tonight showed it as we got to see a brand new winner. Got to see big wrecks like that on screen, but again, check out tomorrow night, Thursday, Stars and Stripes. Should be a good one. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Joshua Altis, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us, and we will see you tomorrow night. Stars and Stripes, they tackle Japan's Twin Ring Motegi, and that will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.